Good morning, afternoon, whatever.
It's morning.
I think your sunglasses are great.
Thank you.
This is our panel, Streaming and Social Media, and these are my fellow panelites. I would love it if y'all could introduce yourselves with every social media that you use to represent your brand.
All right. On Club Penguin, I'm...
I'm so glad we went for the same joke.
Did you hack my account? I'm Austin Marie. You can find me on Twitch at Austin Marie, AUSTEN. On Instagram, Austin Marie. And then on Twitter, I'm Austin Marie TV, because the one who has Austin Marie is too busy talking about Foursquare in Colorado.
Oh. Horrible.
It's been a thing.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dodger. I'm at DexBonus on pretty much everything. Twitch.tv/DexBonus. DexBonus on Twitter. DexBonus on Instagram. DexBoners on Snapchat, but I don't really use that, so it just feels good to have that name on Snapchat, given how it started. So.
I'm Pocket, and POKKET on Twitter. I actually begged someone to give me that name. And then, what else? On Twitch, obviously, and then Pocket Official on Instagram, because I can't get it. They have a private account, can't reach them. No. I tried several times, and then I have Snapchat as well. But yeah, that's about all I use.
So do none of us use Facebook?
No.
The only thing I have Facebook for is to get analytics on Instagram.
Okay.
Oh.
That's it, because if you have a business page or a fan page on Facebook and you attach it to your Instagram, you can make your Instagram a business one, and you get analytics like following, like ages, where people are, like all that creepy stuff.
Like SEO stats, if you care about, if you also do YouTube, SEO stats also rely on you having a Facebook as well, which is so bizarre to me.
It's really strange.
Yeah.
I hate Facebook.
Well, because it doesn't work anymore, because the algorithm, if you post anything with a link, it just disappears and 3 people see it.
Right.
No, actually, one thing about Facebook that I've learned is that you can promote your posts, but it's like you promote them to people following you already.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is ridiculous to me.
It's not the same as like creating an ad for people. It's like, it's a bizarre
It's like, we'll
thing.
just remind your friends if you pay us money. And it's like, okay. Like, thanks, Mom.
All right, well, I'm Blue Jay, and you can find me on Twitch at Blue Jay, on Twitter at BlueJay_712, because Blue Jay is owned by someone in China.
Oh, my God.
And then on Instagram at BlueJay712, because the Blue Jay account doesn't exist, but they won't let me have it.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We need to fight some people.
And we need to fight some people.
If we all band together,
I know.
I feel like we could get these names.
we gotta work as a force for change. So what I want to talk about today is not just social medias, which ones we use, but also how we use them to grow our branding, to grow. A lot of us have Twitch channels, but you guys also do YouTube stuff, and just in terms of trying to use social media to promote your presence online and the things that you do with that. So I would love if we could talk about like one social media each. I know that Twitter is a really big thing for most people. Why is it that you find Twitter is important for reaching out to your community and also growing your brand?
I mean, Twitter for me is like, it's still not messed up by algorithms that much. Like, you still get stuff pretty much like instantly. You can like check in on everything, but also it's a way to get information out quickly without having to curate a look or a photo or edit. And it's like, hey, here it is. But it's also a really easy way to like misunderstand people immediately.
Yeah,
so many
it's true.
characters.
It's not a place for discourse, even though that's how it's primarily used recently. But like, it's not a good place to try and have a conversation. But I do have a lot of people who, if I don't tweet that I'm live, I'll get people that show up halfway through a stream and are like, you didn't tweet. I would have, if you had tweeted, I would have seen the tweet and I would have shown up because there's no other way that's reliable, right? Like on YouTube, the video doesn't go to a sub feed. On Twitch, they don't get the alert from Twitch that says to come, you know,
Instagram, you see it 5 hours later.
Right.
Yeah, you see it 5 hours later after you've already seen it.
Yeah.
Like you see it like, oh, it's new. And then 5 hours later, it's like, did you see this though? And
Yeah.
you're like,
Hey,
yes,
did you see
I did.
this?
Yeah, I did. Thanks.
Hey, I'm live right now. No, you're not. I know better.
Twitter has gotten more confusing lately, though, because every time I go on there, I'll see a tweet and be like, oh, somebody's doing a thing, like during TwitchCon, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's so many tweets of people being like, I'm on a panel right now about this thing. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I really want to help them promote it. And I go to retweet and I realize
21 hours ago.
they made that 21 hours ago. Yeah.
It's like, hey, you missed really important stuff, but it doesn't matter today. And you're like, thank you, Twitter.
Thanks, Twitter. That's so helpful.
So I use Twitter to debate people.
What's that like? I've never done anything like that.
Let me just say, I learned my lesson. I think it was about, oh gosh, like 8 months ago. I've been on Twitter for like 5 years, by the way. But I finally learned my lesson 8 months ago when I decided to say my opinion on a certain type of makeup style. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize I was like against women's rights and holding people back, and I was just a devil, and I was like, I just don't like that makeup.
You actually took my right away to vote from that tweet. And I'm still really upset. So in the state of California, I can't do anything now.
Ruining lives.
That's when I learned I'm just going to be professional, tweet selfies, and tweet when I'm live, and tweet when I'm done, because, oh my gosh, I was scared. There was a bunch of people I've never seen before. So
do you think it's like anti-growth to have a personal opinion in your social media?
I think it's unprofessional.
Yeah?
I feel like you never know who you're gonna. It's so easy to misconstrue things. I think someone said that.
Yep.
And if like I don't like this makeup style, well, you hate everybody then. No, not really, but okay.
Most people.
Yeah, most people.
I think we can
I
all
don't like
agree,
you.
Yeah.
But no, it's so easy to misconstrue that it had not. Or withdrawing your opinion off of social media, I think is a good idea if you want to maintain like who you are and not have people distort it and try to defame your name because of it. So I think we've seen that recently, actually.
Versus who you are in the public.
I see. I'm on the other side where, like, obviously I'm a very opinionated person. If anyone follows me on Twitter, like, my thing, though, is, like, I never try to go for anyone personally because I'm like, I can disagree with what you say. Like, even you and I years ago had a conversation where you're like, I don't like this. And I'm like, well, I do. And then you're like, oh, I kind of understand. And we had a, like, whole thing on it. And it's like, it doesn't mean that I hate Pocket, you know? Like, but I'm one of those things where if I'm trying to also like realize like, hey, we have a voice, we have a responsibility. My growth has been larger. I have a bit more of like people looking at me now that I'm not used to. And so if something gets blown out of proportion, I'm just like, okay, how many times am I gonna have to repeat the same thing over and over and over again? And it can get really hard because like stuff can turn on you. And then it's like, wow, it's really overwhelming when you have like a bunch of people tweeting you and your phone's going off. Like I had to just like put my phone down, turn off the internet, and I just like went for a walk. I was like, I need to leave.
Yeah.
But again, it's like one of those things where I think if you do have an opinion, you have to realize, like, read it over a few times, think it through. Nothing has to be instant.
Ask a friend.
Ask a friend. And also, like, I think a lot of tweets that mess stuff up is when you're just tweeting back right away to, like, tell this person, like, no. And I, like,
when you're, like,
taking
furious,
a minute.
right?
Yeah, like, taking a minute helps so much. And, like, I try to also diffuse stuff if there is anything that pops up, being like, hey, we might disagree on this. That's totally okay. And then I'm like, also, like, you've been really killing it lately. Because, like, I'm, like, really respect a lot of people who I, like, have disagreements with. I'm like, hey, by the way, your new channel art is dope. Like,
yeah, I've had that conversation with peers so many times where it's like, it sucks because if you do have a disagreement online and it's public, right, everyone will assume that there's a lot of drama there.
Yeah.
But most of the time there isn't. Most of the time it's just like, two people who know each other, who have a conversation where it's like, I think this, cool, I think this, and then we go on with our lives because we're adults, right?
yeah, but then our echo chambers come in on either side, and it's like,
yeah,
boom.
It's like, thank you so much, but I'm cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah.
So do any of you have a personal social media account that is separate from your public-facing business social media account, and why?
I know a lot of people that
totally
do, but I
troll
don't.
you guys. I totally. Yeah, echo chamber, that's me on another account.
At Echo Chamber.
She's you know,
That actually is Echo Chamber 6969. No,
DMing me some weird stuff from that account, okay?
sorry.
I don't.
Yeah. That's too much work.
Well, I was
That's
just
way too
feeling
I
much
have like a Facebook for my family and friends, and then even then I'm like, there's more drama on there than on actual Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who like who are more like on pocket side of things, where it's like I want everything to be about my business and be very professional, and so they'll have a second Twitter or whatever, and the name is something you would never guess, right? So nobody really finds it, and that's the one that you give to close personal friends and maybe family, and it's completely different from the business one.
Oh, I don't even do that.
No,
I do have a
know, I'm
Twitch,
just saying, like,
but yeah.
sometimes when people want to like
Yeah.
say a lot of personal things, but they don't want it out there for everybody, they'll have like two.
Or even, it can be as simple as like I know some people have alt accounts on Twitch because they don't want, like if they're partners, they don't want it displayed and they don't want to feel like they're taking away from like someone else's stream.
Right.
So they have alts so that way they can go and just be a part of chat and be the viewer and not be like, oh, so-and-so's in my chat.
Look at me.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, when are you streaming next? No,
Oh, I hate that.
stop it.
Yeah.
Guys, can we all agree if you're in a chat and you see a partner, don't ask them when they're streaming next if it's someone else's channel, please.
Yeah.
Please, it's so awkward. Because then you're like, look at that person who's streaming. I'm going to go never type again. Bye.
And if you're the streamer going into somebody's chat, don't promote yourself, because
Oh,
that's very
yeah,
rude
also
to the
don't do
streamer
that.
who's actually streaming.
When are you streaming next? Monday through Friday at 7.
Oh, that's cool. I'm actually going to be streaming this game in about an hour if you guys want to come check it out.
I'm leaving right now to go stream, guys. Right?
Oh man,
But
yeah,
I'm still going.
It's going to be real good. Doing a
Here's my
giveaway.
link. Bye.
I've been playing this game too. I was thinking about streaming it probably
Now.
I'm live right
Maybe
now
like now.
actually.
I'm live right now. I'm actually casting your stream through mine.
That's another can of worms. So in terms of, like you said, going live tweets and stuff, and how that makes sure that any kind of things that don't work vis-a-vis YouTube and Twitch get kind of shored up, like what do you put on a going live tweet or Instagram post to try and make sure it has the most traction? Because I know Pocket has a technique here.
Pockets,
Start.
Leave me alone. So good.
Tell me.
Selfies.
Yup.
The like,
actually-
hardcore rad makeup selfies, though.
I actually have a nice Canon and a tripod. I put it on a timer, and I go out the night before. I'll do makeup looks, and I'll do I call it kind of cosplay because it won't be like hardcore, but it like Tifa Lockhart, something that's really easy to do. Or I'll do makeup looks like Halloween makeup. I did Freddy Krueger, Jason, and I'll go out the day before I'll go out that night, take a bunch of photos, edit it, and get it ready for the next day. And then I'll tweet it out like I'm live. And then people like go into my channel and they're like, you don't look like Jason right now. I'm like, no, that was yesterday. Today's Freddy.
Well, we know that, especially on Twitter, but I think also on Facebook, although we've established none of us really use Facebook.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, when there
my
was only
day.
Facebook. That media does, like any form of media on a tweet, drags attention.
Gets
right?
more
So,
engagement.
yeah, if it's just text, people are less likely to be like, what is that, than if there's a funny GIF or a rad picture.
Yeah, if you're
or-
scrolling through and you see a bunch of text, but then one photo, of course people are going to stop and be like, oh, that's cool, or that's disgusting, or whatever. So.
Yeah, it grabs more attention because I think people's eyes kind of gloss over, and like even with because I do Instagram, Twitter, and then Discord as well. So I use Discord for that, and I like go through and do all my posts, and I know that if I don't do one, or if I forget to take a picture, or if I just do my link, the engagement is down so much more. Like my views are down by like 50 or 70. Like I can see it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's because I didn't post a selfie.
I always make sure to put a really dumb anime meme on there.
Yeah.
Gets the people. Gets them.
Gets them going.
Yeah, you know.
So I know that for us, all being women especially, like the ability to feel comfortable and confident taking pictures of ourselves and putting them on a tweet is a little bit different from someone who is approaching this streaming as someone without a face cam, or someone who's male presenting who might not feel comfortable posting selfies on their tweets. Do you have any other, like you said, you post anime memes?
No, wait,
or-
own it. If you're a guy, take selfies. Who cares?
It feels
I
good.
think it's great. I think I've seen guys do it. Like seeing guys do it going
Hunter
live.
Wild is a good one.
Yeah.
He photoshops. He gets his face photoshopped onto all the characters of the game he's playing.
Yes, that's amazing.
And so he doesn't have to go out and find the right lighting and take a selfie every time. But he has, like, he's like, okay, I'm playing, Fortnite. And he puts his face on, like, Penny from Fortnite.
God.
And puts that. And that's great, too, because I
Yeah.
see that. And I'm like, oh, I love you. I mean, he's on my team, so I have to
I hope
promote
that
him,
he
but
just has a folder that just has like 20 of his face pre-cropped,
just in all different directions.
transparent, like
Drag
ready,
it over.
ready to just.
He's
put
got an
on
app on his phone to do it.
Yes, I love it.
But like, if you don't have a face cam, if you don't have that, like, I mean, you can do GIFs of a game, or if you do have a face cam, I was actually telling this to my boyfriend Taylor, but I was like, make a GIF of yourself and post that with your link. And people are like, oh, okay, all right. And then also, like, videos are good. I know Goober is a great one. He does videos when he's going live, and that really gets an engagement going because you're like, okay, here's what this dude's about. Like,
Yeah.
it's good. Or
I did a thing
cats.
for like
Get a cat.
cats. Yes.
Get a cat.
I did a thing for like 2 days and then I did not keep up with it at all. But like once Twitter acquired Periscope, and Twitter owns Periscope, right?
Yeah.
I started trying to do a thing where I'd be like, hey, I'm live, it's pre-show, I'm making my coffee, and I would just Periscope it onto Twitter up until the point that I was live. But that's like adding another 10 minutes onto an already,
It's a lot of
6-hour day where
work.
you're going to be live. Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
like, maybe that's a little too much, but yeah.
It's a lot of work, yeah. But also, the other thing for going live now with Instagram in particular, because it's not, it's all algorithm based and it's only on how much you interact with someone. So like, if you like someone and you want to see their posts, go and just go ham and like all their posts right now, because then they'll show up in your feed. You might look a little crazy, but it's fine.
Instagram Live isn't available like all over the world though, right?
No, but the thing right now is the stories are what people are doing. So people only check the
right.
stories, and that's why engagement is down on all the other posts. So if you are going live, do a little Instagram story, do a boomerang. You swipe up to go to your channel. Perfect, easy peasy.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we're talking about Instagram now.
Yeah.
This is a perfect transition. Thank you.
Sorry.
You're welcome.
I'm learning right
See you
now.
later.
I'm really happy about it. So we all have Instagrams, but Instagram is a very different format where it's mostly visually based. Like, how do you use Instagram to link back to your other accounts, to promote your social media, your brand, and like, in what ways does Instagram help with that, you think?
To be honest, it's for me right now. I don't use it as much because it has been dying because of the algorithm. So it's like most people are using it on their phones. You can't copy and paste what people are saying. You can't click a link. It has to be in your profile.
That's
And it
honestly the
adds
big
so many
killer for it.
steps.
The links?
The
Yeah,
links,
the more
you
steps
can't have
you
a link in
have.
there, yeah.
the more steps you have, people aren't going to come. So every step you have to make it harder for someone to come to your stream or your channel takes away like a person every time. So if it was like, click here now, let's go, more people will show up. But if it goes, oh, go to my profile and then click over here and then you'll get to it. And then if you're on the app, it's too much.
For every step you take, you lose engagement.
Every step you take.
Something interesting though is that a lot of if you're somebody who's looking for like extra income with like brand deals and things, a lot of brands are super interested in Instagram right now. A lot of them are like, all right, so we want you to stream, but we also want you to make a couple Instagram posts. You're like, okay. But like they can't link to each other, so it's really bizarre. But brands are like super into Instagram currently for whatever reason.
It's easy to tag brands, though. One reason I still do Instagram every single day I go live. I do Instagram. I used to do Snapchat as well. Like, I'm live, hey. Snapchat, Instagram, and then Twitter are my main three that like I want to do, and Discord. But Instagram, you still can like link to clothing. You can link to like makeup if you're into makeup. You can link to like so many different things, and even brands on there already go, oh, hey, I saw that you did this tweet, like Kat Von D regrammed one of my photos because she's like, oh, you look really nice in this, and can I regram it? Or when their PR reached out, I'm like, yeah, duh.
Yes, please, Mom, yes.
But even just like make sure, like if you do have something that can be tagged, like even at Target or something, I did Hot Topic, and it was just a coffee mug. And they regrammed my thing, and I got like a ton of followers from it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I put that I'm going live on every single tweet and where they can find me, and I've actually had a lot of people find me. And they say, well, I found your makeup or I found your outfits, and I decided to check out your channel. And
So this is on Instagram. You would tag people in the photo. Do you also use hashtags?
I use some hashtags. I try not to go crazy because I feel like if you use too many hashtags, it just is like, I think it takes away from me.
What I've seen some people do is they'll make the post without hashtags, and then they'll be the first person to comment on the picture.
Yeah.
And the comment has like
All the hashtags.
Yeah. And that way it's not
Insta good, Insta great,
Insta cats, Insta dogs. Like, there's no cats or dogs
hashtag
on there.
lol, hashtag memes.
For me, it's usually like whatever I'm doing. So if I'm doing Halloween makeup, or if it's like a Halloween look, then I'll say like hashtag Halloween, hashtag, Freddy Krueger. But I'll do like
Keeping
a
it
few.
relevant is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I keep it very relevant. Otherwise, I don't go crazy on hashtags. I'm mostly just about like tagging what makeup brand am I using for face paint, and where's the wig from, and where did I get my contacts, and just stuff like that. Everything I write down, and I remember where I got it, because I've had so many people reach out and say, hey, can we send you some more? And I'm like,
That's so smart.
yeah. So
All right. Do you do a similar thing on Twitter?
it's really hard to tag people on Twitter.
Yeah.
So
And a lot of brands, for some reason, don't use their Twitter as much. Like,
Yeah.
most brands have, like, bots for their Twitter, whereas their Instagram, they actually curate posts. And, like, yeah, you can queue those up
Yeah.
still, but, like, they tend to respond more and reply back on Instagram than they do on Twitter, which is strange
That's
to me
so
because
interesting.
Twitter's growing now more than Instagram for, like, just
Yeah.
personal growth. And I've seen friends grow way more, whereas Instagram's way
I
less.
feel because
lately.
it's a lot more visual, so you're representing the brand, and so
That's-
they see that, and you can do that on Twitter, obviously, but they see that on Instagram, and they want that.
You have your
that's,
gallery.
That's what I was going to
Yeah.
say, is that Instagram is so like fashion focused in a lot of ways
Yeah.
that I think a lot of the companies that you would be tagging for your pictures probably focus a lot on their Instagram compared to any other social media.
Yeah. And I've noticed that about like the difference in followers on Instagram versus Twitter. Very fashion focused. If I do a terrifying look like Freddy, where I looked like I was burned, Instagram didn't like it as much, but Twitter loved it.
Yeah, they freak
Everyone-
out.
You don't look cute in this.
Yeah, you don't
What
look
is
pretty. And I'm just like, that's the point. I'm Freddy Krueger. I'm not supposed to be hot. Or I am supposed to be hot,
On
but not that
Instagram,
way.
you can
So,
Hot like on fire.
got him. Anyway. No, and some of them they do like they love Jason, but they did not like Freddy. And I'm just like,
Well,
why?
he's sexy, so that's why,
Yeah.
obviously.
And now you know.
You know, I had like makeup running on one side and just like, it was not very sexy, I think. But anyway, I did Pennywise and people loved it on Instagram and Twitter, but I'm like, Freddie, I tried really hard. But
I mean, sometimes you don't
it's
know.
all about like, I think it's a lot about knowing your audience on all of them and trying to appeal. And you like, I think Twitter is a lot more forgiving of like, tweet whatever you want.
Yeah.
For photos. But Instagram, you have to know what you're going for and build your audience based on that. And I started switching to more face paints and whatnot. And I do think I lost some of my audience because they wanted just a girl tweeting pretty photos.
Outfit of the day
So-
posts.
Yeah, outfit of the day, pretty photos. Here's my makeup. It looks the same as yesterday. I don't know why you're liking this again. But
It's
yeah.
reassuring that you haven't changed. Change scares me.
So you find that you have to keep track of what your audience on different social medias
Yeah.
prefers in terms of like getting engagement.
I'd say build it immediately. Like know what you want to go for, and then just build it. I switched to the face paint, and I'm rebuilding it. And I'm getting a lot more traction now. But there was about 9 months where people just like the engagement was down because I was changing up the way I took photos. I used to just take like photos like this, and they would get a lot of likes. And then when I started switching it to having like a more professional look, apparently people hate that. So
They hate it, and then they start liking it way more.
Yeah.
There's always that weird dip if you
It's a
change
dip.
something.
That's
yeah.
the thing, is you can never, I mean, it's always scary to make even small changes with your channel or your branding or how you
Yeah.
present yourself. But like, the fact of the matter is, the longer that you do this, the more that you realize how you want to present yourself and what you think is fun and how you are able to enjoy this job. And I think making those changes, if it improves your quality of life and improves like how much fun you're having with it, like that also affects everything else. Because if you're having fun, everybody knows. They can tell,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah. And I am. That's why I did it. I was like, you know what? Even if you don't like it, I'm going to keep doing it because this is what I want to do. I want to
Yup.
focus on art. I want to focus on different looks and different sceneries and not just be a selfie queen in my bedroom.
Right.
So, and I'm okay
Which
with
you
that.
still are. You still are in my heart.
I still am.
You still are.
She's going to go back and like all the old photos, like, see?
Sounds So in terms of, like, we've done a lot of talking about Twitch and how to promote, like, going live tweets and make sure that people find your stream. How do you promote your YouTube and videos? Because videos last for a lot longer in terms of, like, I'm live and now I'm not live anymore. How do you promote your YouTube? Do you have any, like, cross traffic, and how do you do that?
YouTube anymore.
Well, then I'm asking Brooke.
Ever since they added the pinning feature to Twitter, if I put a lot of work into a video, I'll pin it to the top of my Twitter for a while. I think that it helps, but honestly, it's really, really hard to tell. Because I know that I personally, the way that I use Twitter, I very rarely, unless I'm trying to follow somebody, I very rarely go to their actual Twitter page on mobile, you know? So I don't assume that a lot of people are going straight to my Twitter homepage and being like,
You'd probably be surprised.
what's her pinned tweet? I mean, I have no idea.
I check every day.
Every morning I wake up and I'm like, what is Brooke doing today? I look through your tweets and replies.
Can't dodge these likes.
Well, you can even do that with, now you can upload to Twitch. That's what I do now. I stopped YouTube because Twitch just was better for me. YouTube, with what they're doing right now, it just killed my channel. So I gave up, but what I would do,
Terrible.
I always tweeted like what the video was and then like link here, and then I did the thumbnail. And I would tweet the thumbnail because people love pictures. It doesn't matter.
The
They love
graphics
pictures.
get engagement.
If you just do the link, it's like this tiny little thumbnail and then a description, versus if you tweet the thumbnail, people go, oh wait, and you're like, you know, GTA catastrophe. And then people are like, oh, let me click the link real quick. And I found that I got way more likes and retweets when I did that versus just tweeting a link.
Yeah.
So.
And like we said before, it doesn't have to be a picture of your face. Like if you don't stream with a cam, like it can be a screenshot from the game. Just having a graphic on your tweets really helps to promote engagement.
It's more work, but it pays off.
Well, that's what it is. It's a job. Like there is a lot of work that goes into it. You have to curate it. So
In terms of videos, like both on Twitch and YouTube, do you include links to your social media in your descriptions?
Yeah.
How do you curate your descriptions?
Oh gosh. Well, with YouTube, again, there's like all of these weird, if you want people to actually be able to find the video, there's all of these really bizarre like SEO things that you can do to help with the algorithm, and like you can put there are some keywords that you should put in like a certain number of times, but if you put it in too much, you're spamming, and then they'll ignore it, and like all kinds of weird stuff like that.
What is YouTube?
So sometimes if you're ever watching a video and you pop up in the description because you're like, oh, they talked about a thing, I wonder if they linked it, right? And you see that there's just like 4 huge paragraphs that seem like they say the same thing. That's why, because they're like, how do I get this word in here like 18 times? But no, normally the way that I have it is just like assuming it's a game, right? Like a description of the game, a link to be able to buy the game, and then all of my social media at the bottom. And then in my end slate, I have all of the social media written there too. I wish that you could link to it. I still don't think you can, right?
No, not really.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I just have the social media, a description, and then like anything else that is like extra. Like if I have to say it's sponsored, or I have to say where my P.O. box is, because people want to find out. Because I do unboxing videos, so people send stuff to my P.O. box, and then I do the unboxing videos, and I upload it instead of doing it live, because I've gotten inappropriate things before, and I don't want to be like live.
no,
doing
that's
that.
fair.
Yeah. I'm sorry for sending you
You just
those
pull it out, and
things
you're like,
as well.
it's a bat. It's a
Listen.
different kind of bat, but you know.
I thought it would be funny
I thought
at
it
the
would go well
time.
with your hair. I'm sorry. I thought you could pose with it for the next Instagram.
So at least you can like moderate. So I would do that, uploads of that, and so that's how I link to my social media. And I never put keywords or anything just because I'm lazy. And I'm just like, this is just for people who want to see it. But I do link it on everything. So.
Austin, I know that you do a lot of art, which is a different type of brand structure and growth. How do you use social media to help with that? And do you do a lot of crossover on Twitch and with your art?
Yeah, so for me, I think like I'm in that weird position where if I was solely a game streamer or solely an artist, like I'd probably have more growth. But because it changes up so much on like my Instagram, like I can see a lot more growth if I do a bunch of art posts all together. together, and I can see a lot of growth if I do a bunch of just selfies or outfit posts. But if I start switching it, people are like,
What are you even
what do
doing?
you do? I don't understand. You have a face and you draw. So it's one of those things where people get like weird about it, but I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to focus a little bit more on art to like move back into that because it's just been my passion. But I was a full-time illustrator before I was a full-time Twitch streamer. And mixing both of them has been good, but I know that like YouTube was really good for like speed paints and stuff, like back when I actually used my YouTube. And I kind of want to see how it works on Twitch, because we do have the creative section. We have so many amazing artists on there, and I think it would be interesting if like more uploads went to Twitch, because I'm already there, you know?
Yeah.
It's all in one. Like, once again, the less steps you have to take to like see someone's content, the more people are going to see it. So if it's like, hey, here's my, you know, Twitch page with art, I'm also doing something else. I think that kind of mixes in, but for everything else, like I hashtag my art a lot. But again, with Instagram, it's weird because if you I have a lot of friends who are very popular artists, and when they become really popular, there's, you know, a kid on Instagram who just rips off exactly what they draw and posts it and gets even more likes than they did, and it's like, it's all about like the popularity and not even kind of respecting the craft of art. So it's this double-edged sword of like, I love sharing it, but also it can hurt you. So it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing for the art world.
Oh, yeah, here's another PSA. If you repost somebody's art, tag them or just retweet their tweet, because
It's easier.
that supports them.
And if
And
you
they made
don't
the
know
fucking
who
art.
made the art, don't just post it anyway.
Credit to Pinterest. Credit to the artist.
Like, I had to do that where I had an image that I really liked, and I could not for the life of me find the artist, and I was just like, okay, then I'm not using this.
Yep.
Because, like...
You didn't get it tattooed?
No, I didn't get it tattooed on my body. But like the idea of posting something without credit because like maybe you're lazy or maybe you just really like it, but like you don't know who did it, and like somebody, can you like tell me? I've done that before. I think you helped me out finding the person. I was like, I don't know who did this, and I want to know who did this. Can you help me? But just the idea of credit where credit is due.
So I have a confession.
Yeah.
I've tweeted photos before and not, I'm sorry, artists out there.
Get out.
I'm sorry.
Get out.
It was a Boba Fett.
I'm starting a Twitter fight with you right now. It'll be subtweeted though, so don't worry.
Can you
won't
guys
see
go
it.
retweet this fight, please? No, I'm just kidding. No.
Someone on my panel.
I don't do it
Did you
anymore.
hear that Pocket and Austin hate each other? I'm so excited to tweet about this.
Just do the popcorn gifts. Don't say anything. Just the popcorn gifts.
I think the idea of being a person who's trying to support themselves by their creative endeavors and then not respecting other people trying to support themselves with their creative endeavors, it's just a matter of
blows my mind.
course. Like, if you want to be able to make a career out of like creative works, making content, like doing RPGs or whatever, don't disrespect people who are trying to do the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I think even outside of art, like crediting and stuff, like if Pocket does something awesome, like I'm inspired by Pocket, I'm gonna do this cool look that I saw her do. I'm going to tag her because I don't want her to think like, wow, Austin just ripped me off, you know? Like,
Right.
so like
You
even
ripped off my face.
literally. I'm sorry again. We've had a really rough time today. But like if you do something where it's like it's similar or adjacent to someone, or like I had people who were like, I cut my hair off because I saw you did it, and I was like, that's awesome, and like I appreciate that, and that makes me like that, you know, you like what I do and vice versa. Otherwise it feels kind of weird if it's like, oh, so-and-so cut their hair exactly like mine as soon as I did it, and they haven't said anything, and this is weird. And we're like sitting here like this, you know, like, oh. So I think even doing that is a good way to interact with people. And I'm not saying, you know, go out and copy your favorite streamer's look or, you know, whatever. But if you're like, hey, I'm wearing so-and-so shirt, or I'm, you know, I saw so-and-so do this, I think it's really cool, I'm trying it out, this is my, you know, inspired by post. I think tagging them in that is really good because it helps everyone. Like, it's never going to hurt anyone else if you lift everyone up.
Well, and a lot of like streamers or cosplayers, they love it when people do art of them and they get
That's
tagged.
awesome.
Like most of them will retweet it and everything.
Yeah, they'll
So-
retweet, they'll make sure they
Regram.
credit. Like, I know that if I do art of someone back before I was a streamer and I was just would illustrate everyone because I love everyone. I'm like, you're so pretty, let me draw you. But like having something retweeted and boosted is awesome, but I've had also people who I've drawn art for just repost my art and they're like, oh, hey, this is cool. And I'm like, oh, like,
Yeah.
all right, well, I guess that's done drawing you now.
Yeah.
So talking about like sharing each other's work and retweeting and being like inspired by whomever, I think that for streamers and like other content creators who are trying to grow specifically, because being on the internet, like people can be pushy and they can be awkward and they can try and like network but not really like understand how to do it in a way that feels like natural and good and not like you're trying to push here.
You have an agenda and I can see it.
Yeah. So how would you recommend, let's do some positives and not some negatives here. We can get to the negatives later.
Sure.
But how would you recommend people trying to get that kind of like networking going in terms of like, I really like this thing that Austin did. I want to like, I put this earring on because I like Austin. Let me tag Austin in it, but like no one actually sees it. Or like replying to someone's tweet to try and like get some kind of engagement going. I know that it's really hard starting out to try and build your brand and build that kind of connection with other streamers. So how would you recommend some positive ways to go about it that don't feel like they're pushing an agenda at you?
Don't ask them to retweet your stuff.
Oh yeah, don't do that. Please
If you like even meeting someone here, you go up, there's a lot of streamers here. How many people are streamers? There's a lot of streamers here.
I'm proud of all of you.
If you meet someone, no matter who it is, it could be like, I'm your biggest fan. They're human. And just act like they're just another human and you respect their work. And if you just go up and have a conversation like, hey, it's really nice to meet you, and I really like what you do, and then you can have a conversation about anything, like, I love makeup, let's talk about makeup real quick, what's your favorite brand, and just stuff like that, and then you become human too. And I'm not saying you're not human, but instead of going like, I'm your biggest fan, I love you, I have a shrine of you, and you're like,
Okay, you need to stop talking about my conversations I have with you, okay? Listen.
I'm just saying, but yeah, at the end of the day, remember, we're all human here, and we love conversations. We love talking about things that, like video games, and we love talking about makeup. And, well, I don't know if all the guys here love talking about makeup, but I do. So it's just stuff like that, and it's a great way to meet
common
people.
ground.
Find common grounds. There you go. That was way easier. She did it way better.
Do you have any?
I would second what you said about like don't beg for a retweet. That always feels very awkward. It feels like you're being kind of like pushed into a corner. Like, I know that you saw this and you didn't retweet it. Do you hate it? I'm like, oh God. Yeah, we love seeing art. We love just anything that like is appreciative of what we do. Like, we appreciate that feedback as well, and we appreciate anything that like shows that you take time for us. Like, that's an incredible feeling as a broadcaster. But yeah, I've definitely had people be like, hey, I made this thing, retweet it. Like, oh.
And then you feel like if you say no, you're an asshole.
Yeah. Or you retweet someone else's art, so then like 3 more come in, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna spam my timeline now. I don't like spamming my timeline. I'm very much like an hour between posts, unless I'm replying to people.
I'm not. There's too many anime goofs to make. I'll spam.
Too
I'll
many
spam
anime
real
goofs,
hard.
not enough time.
I am positive there are so many people who followed me at one point, and I was like, oh my gosh, this person that I really love and respect is following me. I'm positive I was muted like a day later. Like, I just know it.
Instantly.
Gotta be me, okay?
Yeah, I think my thing too, if we're focusing more on the positives, again, like with the genuine stuff, that's absolutely true. And I think that's true in like anywhere in life. And ultimately, like, there's nothing that really separates streamers from viewers, because like we're all just nerds who sit in front of a computer all day long. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we're raised on the podium, like, this is,
I mean, literally, like right
we're
now.
literally like this much taller, but like we're all just nerds and we're all socially awkward and we all have our things. So like, I just appreciate when people are just talking and are like, hey, what's up, normal, and I'm just as nervous as everyone else. I'm getting choked up. But also like online specifically, like I think just talking to people, being a part of a community, you know, chatting back and forth. Because, like, I'll have people come in and they're like, what is this streamer doing? And I'm like, hi, I'm here. You can just talk to me. I'm answering you. Like, what's up? How are you? You know? So I think just, like, treating people like normal people is really cool because ultimately, like, that's what we are, you know? And, yeah, and I think that is really cool because then you actually get relationships with people. People talk to you. The more you're a part of a community, the more it's like, I really want to check out so-and-so's stuff. Like, what are you doing, you know? And then, yeah, don't get offended if people aren't like, okay, I'm following you now. We're best friends. Like
I follow almost 1,000 people. I have to cut down all the time.
I follow so many artists, and it's just because I fill up my timeline with art, and that's what I want to see. And it's like, that doesn't mean I don't like, you know, someone else's content. It's just, this is what I curate for my brain to work to create the stuff that you guys like.
I think a good point on what you said, though, is also, I see a lot of like smaller partners will come in my channel and most of them will just participate. Like they'll just talk to the chat, they'll talk to me, they'll check out what I'm doing, especially during my morning coffees where I'm just talking for hours for some reason. But they'll come in and they'll just be a part of the stream. And then I've followed so many people that do that.
Totally.
I'm like,
Same.
I'll just like click on them and follow them real quick. But I've also had people that come in and they'll say, hi chat, and they'll post their emotes and then they'll just be gone. And they'll do that like multiple times, and I'm just like, can you like not do that? And I've blocked those people. So it's a difference of like, you know, I want to go into other people's channels and be a part of their stream, and I very much would want people to do that to me.
Totally.
Well, and there's a way to do it. Like I understand that people lurk, and they might just say hi and then lurk. Like that's totally fine. But there's a way to do it where if you're doing it repeatedly, and like you can start to see like. Okay.
Like, I'm only going to resub when you have at least 400 people watching you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I only send
Bye.
through my resubs when...
Where's my shout out?
But I think it's also very important in terms of trying for like a naturalistic style of engagement and actually like getting people to acknowledge you and not just be like, hi, I really love you. We all like things. And like, let's say I really love Yuri on Ice because I fucking do. If I post something about that, not completely unrelated to that, but if I post something about that and you have something new and cool to show me about this thing that I also like that is where I'm like, yes.
Totally.
Like, I am totally on board with you and engaged with this. If I'm posting about, like, an RPG I play, and you're like, oh my god, did you hear they have this new Unearthed Arcana Cleric? And I'm just like, yes, hello.
It's cool.
I hear you. Like, there are things that you should not go after broadcasters. If you're trying to build your brand and you're trying to grow connections, find people who like the same things that you do.
Yeah.
Like, going after broadcasters that you have nothing in common with, like, you'll have something in common. We like video games, whatever. But like, try to like in real life. Like, I know that not all of us have a lot of experience making friends, but in real life, you find yourself drawn to people that actually have something interesting to say about the things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's the same with networking and broadcasting. If you have something interesting to contribute to the things that I'm already doing and enjoying, that's where I'm going to be engaged with you. If you have art that you post that I really like, if you have like something cool to say, did you see this part of this video game? Like, it's a secret part, you might not have seen it. Like, I saw that you just finished playing it, and this is really cool.
Finished playing it is the key word there.
Finished playing it. If I post that I'm reading a book and you're like, oh, you like this author? This other author I read is really like similar to them, and you would love that. Like, that's where I'm gonna like actually be engaged with your reply, and that's where
remember
I feel,
you,
and
too.
remember
Yeah.
you. And I feel like a lot of people forget that we are human beings and not just other broadcasters, because I am more engaged with people who engage with me as a human being than I am with people who are like, yeah, so like, how was streaming? Do you like streaming? I also like streaming.
Here's my link.
So
Please retweet.
about that streaming thing that we both do. It's just like, okay,
It's not that, but you also get like at conventions, we meet a lot of people, and everyone meets a lot of people here, and oh man, I watch your stream all the time. You look, they're not following you anywhere, and you're just like, oh yeah, what do I do?
You don't have to lie.
Yeah, either like you can just be like, hey, like I've had people who are like, hey, I follow your Twitter, I've never seen your stream. I'm like, Cool, you're still around. That's amazing.
Yo, I've had people come to panels before and later on come up to me and been like, I had no idea who you were. I'm like, that's awesome.
That's fine.
That's cool.
It's like you do now. What's up?
Yeah.
We all find each other in different stages in different ways. Like, just because you're like, how did I not know her? She has like 200,000 followers on Twitter. You find people in different stages of their growth.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I should be ashamed because I didn't know Austin before she had like 1K followers. Like, I should be ashamed. I'm sorry.
No, but also that even goes for us too. Like, I have friends where I'm like, I love you, I follow you, like, I think you're great. I don't follow you on Twitch, and I've never seen your stream.
Yep.
Oh my, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah,
We, like,
sometimes
have
I go
limited
to
time.
a friend's stream and I'm like, I'm not following you. I'm the worst friend. And then
Yeah,
I feel
and
like I have to wait until they're done streaming to follow because I don't want them to know.
I've actually called people out like, really? You just followed?
I've done the same too. Like, it's been on both sides. Like, it makes up for feeling bad.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have 15 minutes left, and I know that we've been kind of like goofing, and I would really like to take questions from anyone who has like a specific thing that they want an answer for. There are mics in the center aisle.
He's ready.
If you would like to get to a mic, and we can ask and answer some questions, and you are the first one up. Let's go.
Hi there.
That mic is
Listen to that beautiful voice.
Semper Fi Mikey here.
There we go.
My question is, what do you think about Reddit for social media?
I hate it. I'm sorry.
Well, you can't. It's against terms of service to post yourself, right? Or is that
It depends
Reddit
on the
by Reddit.
subreddit,
It depends on the subreddit. Okay.
It's so complicated.
I think with Reddit, I don't have a whole lot of experience, and I think I can probably say the same about the people on this panel, but I think the thing is that I go to Reddit as like, it's like a wiki almost. If I want to know something, there's a lot of times that people post things on Reddit, and I can look it up after the fact, but I don't have very much experience like sharing or growing on that network. I feel like I haven't seen anyone who has credited their growth to Reddit, but I don't know everybody.
Sometimes people have a lot of. They get really good response from an AMA, but you're not always asked to do an official AMA, right? So. I think that's kind of a very specific situation. But yeah, I use Reddit for the same thing. I go to Reddit to see like what all of the major things are on the homepage. When I want like really niche news about something specific, I know I can probably find it on like a subreddit there. But it's not a place that I actively do anything on.
I use Imager for that.
Yeah. So I feel like, unfortunately, this is probably a question for a different set of people. I know that there is a Twitch subreddit that probably has a lot of people who are very active.
There's Twitch fails. I've killed my teammates in lots of games and been on there. So.
Well, I used to
accident.
find it handy for when I streamed League of Legends. I would do giveaways to get viewers.
Yeah.
And they had a LOL giveaway subreddit as long as you followed the rules.
Cool. That's perfect.
Yeah, I do think I have heard of people who, when Twitch first started, using Reddit, going to the game forums there and being like, hey, did you know that I'm streaming this game? I think that it's different now that Twitch has been more established. I think that I remember hearing that a lot of very, very older broadcasters who started way, way ages ago used to use Reddit as a resource to get in touch with like the Star Citizen community. If you're streaming Star Citizen, there's a lot of really established game communities that have Reddits that are very, very active and supportive. That being said, I don't know if if we have the experience that you're looking for. That being said, I know that a lot of space game streamers have used Reddit, so you might want to ask people like Bad News Baron, maybe DJ Knight would know. People who play Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous, I think, would have a good insight on that because I know that they have a lot of active outside communities.
Yeah.
But I just don't.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
The back one?
Yeah, we'll do one front, one back.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Okay, we're not loud. Good. Okay. First of all, I just want to say this is a great panel. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
With the social networking. But my question would be, because I use Twitter heavily for my promotion of my stream, But one thing I am noticing, though, is that, and I've done this before, and I've stopped doing it, but there's some users out there that tend to rely on those retweet bots, whether if it's Twitch TV Gaming, Twitch TV Online, all that. And not only, and because you're limited on characters in your Twitch or on your tweet, that they're constantly spamming to try and capture all these bots. Now, I just more want to get your opinion or what your views are. Is that something that just would more likely turn you away from a chance to?
I would run in the other direction. If all I see are like retweet, like if there's no substance and it's just I'm live, or like a bot that's retweeting people and that's it. Like I don't know what they're about. I don't know what they're streaming. All I'm getting is the link.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. It's just white noise for me.
I think there is some value to be had in making sure you have a balance on your Twitter feed in between going live, YouTube video I posted, this is my Instagram link, and also having like a personal touch. And I think that getting a bot to try and help growth, it's harder now than it was 2 years ago even, and I understand that all of us being established don't really understand the way that trying to grow right now is, but people can see when it's maybe paid promotion, and I trust people more than I trust a bot. If you have 1 retweet and 3 likes and they're all from people who like your stream, that is, to me personally, more fulfilling than 20 Twitter bots. That's definitely an emotional response to that and less of a like brand growth response.
Well, it's not just that, but you can see the difference. If you see like this person has 1,000 likes on there and 100 retweets on there going live, and you go to their stream and it's like they have 10 viewers, and you can see.
It feels weird.
It just doesn't feel authentic. And like she said, I'd rather follow someone that is authentic and doesn't get as many likes and retweets than someone that is faking it.
Also, that's how you grow too. Like, it sounds so weird and it sounds so cheesy. Like, be yourself. Like, unless you're being a character, then be your character and be hardcore into your character. But like, it is one of those things that like Pocket said, like if you're doing stuff you like, you are going to be happier. And when you are happier, people can tell. We are here for entertainment. No one wants to turn on the thing and be like, someone's like, hey everyone. Like that's not a fun time to have in the background when you're doing your laundry. Like, so being happy and loving what you're doing ultimately will grow what you're doing because people start coming. It might be slow.
They latch onto that happiness.
It might be slow, but you know what? They'll love what you love, and you can keep doing what you love and not have to pander. And then you have this genuine feel for it, and that's what keeps you going in the long run, be it a hobby, be it full-time, whatever.
Yeah, so I think that bots might, I don't know, might help, but in the end, it's people you want at your stream, right?
Yeah.
It's people you want looking at your posts, and I don't know how many people followed those retweet bots.
Yeah.
People
keep you going, too.
I know that there are some users that follow me who like auto retweet within seconds my going live tweet, so maybe they have a bot, but I know it's a person because I can link them to someone who actually comes into my chat. So maybe there's a better way in terms of like finding a community of broadcasters who are around your size and being like, hey guys, you've got around 100 followers on Twitter, I got around 200 followers on Twitter, like we should retweet each other's shit and then maybe we'll all get an extra 50 followers on Twitter as opposed to a robot.
Work together.
Raise each other up. Yeah, I think that's a better idea.
Next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mario.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, I have 2 quick questions about SEO. So at the beginning, you guys talked about deep dive of analytics. I'm mainly a YouTuber, so as a YouTuber, the analytics are there on YouTube. Social Blade is mainly what I use for Instagram and kind of Twitter and all that. Do you use a different thing for kind of to deep dive more or on other platforms?
I think there's a Chrome extension called IQ something.
vidIQ.
vidIQ.
vidIQ is a YouTube one, I think.
Yeah, it shows you a lot of stats like directly on your page. It can help a lot. It'll be like, hey, have you done this yet? Because it'll bump you up. Hey, you should probably do this now. And it's annoying, but it's very helpful.
Like, yes, mom.
Fine, I won't do a Facebook post, Mom.
I know that Twitter has onboard analytics, which can be pretty
Yeah.
helpful. Twitch is
Yeah.
getting a little bit better at those.
They keep trying to improve their analytics on Twitch, yeah.
They started to incorporate some, and I think that there are some people on Twitch who are getting I forget what it's called, like the background noise, and like putting it on an extension and being like, these are the people who are coming to your stream. I'm not super familiar with Instagram. You said there's a way to link it through your Facebook?
Oh yeah, Instagram, if you have your fan page, you can go and turn your page into a business, and you get a contact and stuff on it, so you can see who has it actually turned on. But I have like no reception now, but you have all the analytics to like age where people are, your percentage of male to female, just like when you have the highest amount of likes and stuff, which on
Timing is good.
In the Pacific time zone, around 12 to 2 p.m. is the best time to post on Instagram. Like that seems to be the most engagement, and that's what I see in my stuff. But yeah, so you see everything and you get your insights. You actually get like the proper numbers of people following you. You can see how many impressions. You can see, like I'm looking at it now, it'll say like, oh, you've had this many people in last whatever. So it's really good on there. I think we have a long way to go on Twitch, but it'll get there. It'll get there.
Real quick, just on YouTube, whether it's YouTube big or small, if you look at the data over the years, if you hit about 13 to 10% of your subscriber count in views per video is what you hit. If it's 20, it's considered really good. Anything over 20 is amazing. I haven't really done anything with Twitch uploads. So I'm just wondering if any of you guys have done that, and if you...
You do uploads?
You do uploads, yeah.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to analytics. I'm more of a trial and error person. If I see engagement at a certain time, multiple times, that's when I do it. Like I just recently started streaming really early, and I see that more people come to my channel when I start early versus if I start later. I'm a trial and error person.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
not,
gonna say some comes down to just trial and error and what works for you.
So with
not
uploads,
sure.
it's more about, for me, it's more about just having content for people when I'm not live. And so,
and Twitch too is like, it's a little bit different than YouTube. YouTube's like, it is all about the numbers, whereas Twitch, you can have a really successful stream and only have like a small amount of people there because they just support you, you know? Like,
Yeah.
So it really is about you and how you are on Twitch. Like other ones, it's analytics and crazy. But
In terms of uploads on Twitch, I don't think that they have as much information or statistics.
they have
that YouTube does.
like how many people watch and how long they watch.
Yeah.
They have like that, but they don't have anything very specific.
Yeah.
And they include a lot of that into your other stats.
I
So-
think that in terms of the usability of uploads on Twitch, it's better because it's all in one place. If you're using Twitch a lot more than YouTube, then it would probably be better to put your videos on Twitch because people are already there.
Build it.
And in terms of the like every time you step away from, every time someone has to click a link, you lose people. So if you have all of your stuff like in one place, then people are more likely to be able to be engaged because they're not getting lost by clicking links. I'm sorry.
it's fine.
By clicking links over and
No,
over.
our ghost panelist.
Sorry, ghost head.
She's been so great though.
I know, gosh.
Such a good listener. Yeah.
So I don't know in terms of, I think vidIQ is super helpful for YouTube. Twitter has the onboard, Instagram has the Facebook Connect, and then onboard analytics. Twitch has some, but
They're getting better.
They're getting better.
They're looking better.
And I think just paying attention, I'm not 100% sure myself, like how to use that information to, because like if I have like 70% guys and 30% ladies, like, and now what? What do I do with this?
Well, there's many ways. Like if I do face paint and I know that 90% of my audience is male, I'm going to do something that men can do as well, even if I'm a female. So like with Jason, that's something men can do. Skulls, Freddy, like all these things that are stuff that men can do. I know nobody wants to maybe be a sexy high elf, but
I mean, I would love male sex.
sometimes I want to do. There you go.
Everyone
I
needs
would.
to.
Everyone.
But I do try to gear a lot of my content, even when I'm doing makeup, for men as well. So
Yeah, if you know that your audience contains a lot of one thing or another.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful.
Just being aware.
I hope that helped answer your
sorry.
question.
do we want to rapid fire because we don't have?
Oh yeah,
rapid fire short answers.
back one. Let's go.
Hello. My question is whenever I do social media, I always get concerned about being annoying on social media, like, because I know with really bigger popular names, it's okay if they have a whole thread of like 20 posts in a row on Twitter. Or if it's a popular artist, it's like 20 images in a row. But if you're like a smaller person, I guess my question is, how many posts or images in a row is considered too much versus like...
Do you want to do rapid fire answers down with all our opinions?
I think the thing here is that you curate your audience to be susceptible to whatever kind of content that you want to post. So if you want to post 20 images in a row, then you do that, and the people that follow you are the people who will like that. And if you don't, then don't. And the people that follow you are the people who like what you're doing. No one is being forced to look at your content. So if someone follows you and you just retweet a fashion Twitter all day, they like that, obviously, because they're following you. There's no one that is like saying, you have to follow me. So whatever you're doing, if someone doesn't like it, they can leave. Do what you want to do what you're comfortable with. And like, if you're comfortable with posting 20 text posts in a row, like, go for it. It's the people who follow you, who keep following you, are the people who like that.
I do want to add though, like if you're an artist and you post 20 photos in a row, then some of your art will get buried. So you have to be aware. You have to do what you're comfortable with, do what you like. But if you want someone to see stuff, then space it out. So
Don't oversaturate.
Yeah.
But follow, be genuine. Because as my friend said, this was her best advice, she's like, I'm following you because I like the content you make. So if you make more of that content, that's great.
Also, just like in terms of technical thing, if you reply to yourself, all of that will be in the same thread, and then it's like compacted a little bit. So say that it has to do specifically with like a stream that you're doing right now, and it's like, I'm streaming that I'm going live, I'm streaming that I'm still live, I'm streaming that I'm still live, and then a thank you for showing up. If you reply to yourself each time, then it's always linking back to that first tweet that has like where people should go and all of that, and then it's just kind of all compact into one.
It doesn't flood.
I don't think it's as floody.
And make sure to reply to your reply. Don't reply to the original tweet because then it branches out like a tree into a
super
hot
weird.
mess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hello.
Hi.
My question to the panel is, how do you use your social media platform to understand your target audience? And how do you use that to satisfy their wants while bringing in new members at the same time?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I just said I geared my face paint towards men because it's mostly men. So I already kind of answered
It's kind
that.
of like a little tad bit.
I'm kind of when I look at my demographics, it's sort of a 50-50 split. So I honestly don't worry about it too much. I know that a lot of super weebs follow me. I know that
She is a super weeb.
I am a super, so I know that if I'm like, oh my God, you guys, this newest anime season is crazy, like, people will respond to that. But I think kind of going back to a question from earlier, sorry, I'm trying to keep this short. Going back to a question from earlier that just like being genuine about what you like, and then, if your audience is there because they connect with that, then sharing more of that and letting them share back, I think helps with community development a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm with
agree.
them.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
Stamp of approval.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi. So I was wondering, what's a cautionary tale from all four of you growing your own streams as something that you used to do on social media that now you look at and are like,
Don't look at me.
that was a bad idea.
Subtweeting will get you in trouble.
Don't subtweet.
It feels so good, but it's so bad for you.
My only cautionary tale is don't talk about other people. If you have something negative to say, keep it to yourself and to your close friends in real life. Don't talk about people. Like, it's very unprofessional, and it starts a lot of drama it looks bad.
Also, I think a lot of us suffer from, for the most part, everybody's amazing and very sweet and respectful, and then there's that one person who says something and you're in a bad mood and it just like ticks you off in the moment and you want to respond right now. Don't respond right now. Just take a minute, put your phone away, take a walk,
Throw
take a
your
breather,
phone.
eat some food, come back later and be like, you know what, you don't matter.
Yeah, or just don't respond.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me that I learned a little early on was, and this has to do with art and artist, I Googled for a picture of a blue jay, and I found one on an Adobe site, and I asked the person if I could use it, and they didn't answer, and so I was just like, well, then it's fine. And like 6 months later, they're like, take everything down that has my image on it. Everything. And I had put the tiny little thing on a corner of my video player, and I had to delete 6 months of VODs. Know your rights. know, like, it's like if it's Creative Commons, like, know what that means. And just like don't use other people's shit. I learned that. Yeah.
Learn from our mistakes.
Don't use it unless they give permission. I reached out to someone that had, because
Get written permission, though.
Pockets Monsters is like my subs, and so someone had a little Pikachu and it was adorable, and I reached out to them and said, can I commission you to make one for me? And they're like, no, just use mine. Just link back to who I am.
Right.
And so they gave me permission to use their art. So
Yeah. So.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. So my question is, I've seen a lot of discussion regarding Twitch Pulse and Instagram, or sorry, not Instagram, Twitter. Some people say that you should, when you make a Twitch Pulse post, you should do a separate one to make the Twitter one more interesting. And some people say that you should click the box to automatically share it to Twitter. What is your ideas on that?
I don't auto share.
I separate everything.
I don't auto share either.
Yeah.
If you're gonna set stuff up, setting it up separately just is more organic. It makes more sense, even if it's saying the same stuff. If they're just the
You're
repeat.
appealing to the audiences on each.
Also,
so,
auto share
yeah.
usually doesn't do like a good media post for you.
Yeah,
it's just a posting a link.
Images,
and it's like, oh.
images are really important in getting more engagement. Any kind of image will make your tweet more visible, and no image will be posted with Instagram or with Twitch. When they auto share, they never post any sort of image, and it kind of just disappears.
Put the work in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last question.
First off, thank you for all the insights. Do viewers ever share your stream on other platforms?
All the time. Do viewers? I mean, retweeting alone is sharing, but other people.
Platforms being like not
Right.
Twitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
I get a little bit with like if I get fan art or something and someone tweets out and they're like, oh, here's Austin, and then here's her link as well, and I'm always like, oh, you just went the extra mile. Like, you drew me and you did that, which I think is awesome.
DeviantArt, I think, is one.
Retweets are really good because I've already curated that post.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just retweet. I made it. Just retweet it. It's fine.
Yeah, I get people that will actually just like
Please retweet.
authentically like tweet out the stream, and they'll post an image of me like, here's where you find Pocket. This is what she's doing today, and I'm like, wow, that was really nice.
Yeah.
I know. I always really appreciate that too,
Yeah.
with fan art specifically. When
Yeah.
it's like, I really like this streamer. You can find them here. They're really fun. I hope you check them out. And I'm like, stop.
It's so good.
Like I screenshotted your stream and then shared it separately.
Yeah.
And that I think is the thing that people can do. Also, if they do artwork of you sharing on like Tumblr or DeviantArt, and like obviously linking back to what it's inspired by, I get most of my secondary engagement will be on the forums where I am most active. So I am most active on Twitter. So if people are sharing my content, it is mostly also on Twitter. But yeah, there's a bit of that. And I think it's always like super cool when like we're all trying to grow.
Yeah.
We're all trying to get
Links
better.
anywhere aren't going to hurt us.
Yeah, people sharing your content in other places as long as they like credit you and say like, this is the person whose content I'm sharing. It's great. It's like, it's all good. Like we're rising tide, etc.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you guys for like, we went a little bit over. Thank you guys
thank you.
for being here. Thanks for, I don't know, giving a shit about what we have to say.
You guys are adorable.
Thank you.
You're all so cute.
If you have any more questions, if you're watching on Twitch, we all have Twitters. We would love to, if you have a specific question, like I'm always willing to just yammer on about this bullshit.
Also, yeah, in our Twitch channels, come talk to us. We'll talk
And
about it.
commenting on the content we create is a really cool thing for us to share together. I'm interested in what you have to say as much as you're interested in what I have to say. So, yeah.
You can get more of this. Oh! More of those slow mom dabs.
No.
Follow me out.
Get out.
That was terrible. That was terrible. I don't know you. I'm done.
We're real good at memes.
Oh, yeah, meme lords. Follow us on everything. Like, favorite, subscribe.
There we go. Hi.
Oh,
Hello,
Mr.
everybody.
Loaf.
Mr. Loaf is done, which signals the time for us to begin our panel. Thank you for coming, everybody. I know there was some chaos and confusion and failed saving throws. That's a D&D joke. On the way in here, so thank you for being in the place with us. This is a panel about tabletop role-playing games on Twitch and why people do or do not like them. I would like to hope that people do, and that there are lots of reasons, but we're going to discuss it. Joining me are my lovely fellow panelists, minus our token halfling. But at her movement rate of 25 feet around, she should be here tomorrow.
Wow. No.
Savage.
But I'll have my panelists introduce. I've played role-playing games with all of these lovely people, and I know them well, though maybe better as characters than as people. But I'll let them introduce themselves. Najo, do you want to start us off? Who art thou?
I am Najo Tikor, aka Trista Ray. I DM primarily for Misclicks, and when I'm not doing that, I am Twitch staff.
It's a Meatloaf song. Go
God damn it.
Anyone watching this on Twitch is gonna be like, why do they keep talking about Meatloaf? Like, what is up with
Oh,
these
you
guys?
had to be there.
She said it.
Yeah.
And when I'm not doing that, it was too close to the song, and I was like,
It's in my subconscious now. It's gonna happen over this next hour. I'm sorry. I can't let things go. That's my primary characteristic.
All right. It's okay. Is it my turn? Oh, okay. Hello. I'm Holly Conrad, Commander Holly on the internet. I play lots of role-playing games online, and I am Strix in Dice Camera Action. If you watch that silly show, I make a lot of mistakes. It's great. Hooray! I'm also a trash tiefling in all the games I play. If they're in a fantasy setting.
I mean, even if not.
Even if not, I was trash mama.
That's
That's
true.
right. All right, so never mind. That was a lie.
Hello, I'm Jeff. I have a background in competitive gaming, but I've been playing a lot of D&D tabletop RPG for 4 years or something like that now with one of a lot of our mutual friends, JP McDaniels. Kind of got that started for me. And it was one of those things where in my childhood I was pretty sure that if I played Magic the Gathering or D&D, it would divide by zero, black hole would open, and the entire universe would fall into a nerd black hole.
So Jeff, are you saying you would do anything but...
Oh.
Look! I can't even do it, I'm sorry.
I didn't come here for this, Adam.
Still funny. Still funny.
I played a lot of different games, which was really nice. With Adam, we played Stars Without Numbers. I played some 5th edition, some Homebrew 3.5 or something like that, and various other games. Dark Heresy, Rest in Pieces. So I had a really good time.
Yeah. And I'm the person responsible for this shit show. My name's Adam Coble. I'm a GM in residence for Roll20.net and a GM for Roleplay, which is where I met most of these people. So I do a lot of Dungeons & Dragons and other tabletop role-playing games on Twitch, and as you've probably noticed over the course of especially this last year, it has really taken off as a thing. There are lots and lots more tabletop RPG streams, big and small, whereas a few years ago there were one or two, right? They're sort of the elder statesmen of the situation, but all of these other streamers are getting their friends together and they're playing role-playing games because playing role-playing games is fun. But the question remains, is it fun to watch? And I want to talk about that today, right? What we think makes role-playing games engaging as a form of media, some of its strengths and weaknesses, and our experiences doing so as part of that space. So, people have been doing the tabletop RPG as entertainment thing for a long time, right? Since before Twitch, before YouTube, there were actual play podcasts. I remember as a kid reading about somebody in some other part of the world playing 2nd edition D&D, reading about posts about that on alt.games.d&d, which you will know what that is if you are old and know what Newsnet is. Yeah, the one dude in the back. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. So yeah, like there's already this footprint. We're telling stories and we're hanging out with our friends and we have chemistry with them. And I think that's where people start with these things. For you, because Jeff, I know particularly like you, when you started playing D&D, you brought a lot of audience that maybe didn't have exposure to tabletop role-playing games. What do you find that audience's reaction to that stuff has been?
I think one of the most attractive things about D&D and kind of how, I mean, the word that comes to mind is accessible. Like, there's a lot of people who, if they're already watching me, they like games, they like lore, there's just similar ideas they kind of glob onto and enjoy. And D&D does a really cool job of encompassing and bringing you into that. One of the things I did find, though, is that for some people, if they're not into tabletop RPG, they just won't get it at all. And that's not right or wrong, but it's really funny to see, because they're like, are you talking through a battle? And we're like,
where's the game?
We're like, yes, but there's dice. And they're like, so it's random? And I'm like, well, your stats buff it up. It makes it less like, but for some people, it's just not going to be their mode. But I think what's so cool is that for a lot of people, this is something that they do with people. They have a group of friends. They've been doing it for 30 years. And that was actually, when I came in, I was a noob. That was kind of the fun for a lot of people watching me. You were asking what my audience, they're like, oh, Jeff. They're like, you can't do that. And I'd be like, well, of course I can. What do you mean? And they're like, no, it's just not in the rules. So, or like, we had certain DMs that were like, if you move 30 feet, but the guy's 33 feet away and you have a 2-foot reach on a short sword or something like that, he's like, no, you can't hit him. I'm like, that's so stupid. Okay, well, I stand 19 feet away. What's his movement? He's like 18. I'm like, well, there you go. So it's just different, I guess. It's kind of a big answer.
I think my favorite thing in our game, like in that kind of sense, is when in my Dice Camera Action game, sometimes Chris, I'll be like, well, how close am I? And he's like, how close do you want to be? I'm like, yes! I'm just like, I want to be right in their face, because we don't have maps, so we just have to kind of wing it.
Yep.
So what do you think? I mean, what do you think about the way the mechanics interact with the game, right? Like, do you find that people get fired up about that? They get excited about the ways that you're making your characters? Or are they mostly like, yeah, you're playing a role-playing game, but I don't really care about that. Do the funny voice.
That was something I had to learn. I come in as a competitive gamer, and I hate to try and stereotype and define myself that way, but it was a big part of what makes me. I had to dial it back because it is taking place in the DM's mind eye, or my teammates or the people I'm playing with. Like, they see something one way, and I used to come from the approach like, so you're not going to help us in this fight because you're investigating the machine in the back room? I'm like, that's not really realistic but then I realized what I'm doing, and I'm intruding on them. So it was a nice practice in going into it with an expectation, but then dialing it back so that everyone can have more fun. Because I went into it with this is how I think you should have fun. And you quickly learn in the group setting, which I think Tabletop RPG does a really good job of putting you in, that the most fun you'll have is if everyone's having fun, not just your way, but how they want to do it.
So Nadja, you GM, you and I both are in that chair. How do you balance having a group who might not all be aimed in the same direction when you're thinking about your game as a show, right? Like, we want the band to all play the same song. What do you do to make that possible?
I think the first step to that is choosing the right band members. Yeah. Getting the right people at the table that all agree about what you're doing is a good starting point.
She made it.
Hi, Dodger. Hi, you're amazing. We're happy you're here.
Oh, thank you.
So choosing your group is the first step. Secondly, my experience is with a lot of people that are new, which is GM hacks. You can just tell them how to play the game, and they're like, yeah, sure. Okay.
Unless they're Jeff, and then they'll tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Not in so
like
many
I
words,
said, choosing your players, very important. Savage, I'm sorry. But yeah, so a lot of the times I get people that, like for instance, Britt Wiseman, who many of us know and love.
Wow, dropping names.
She'll say things. Look, I didn't
Look,
do all
there are
of this
lots
when you
of
were
lovely
talking.
humans, and they have names. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I just not gonna? Okay, anyway. But she's very new to D&D, and she would ask me questions like, well, can I shapeshift into a chimera? And I'm like, Britt, no, that is a monstrosity. You cannot do this thing. And she's like, oh, well, okay, can I do this? Can I do that? And guiding her through the limit of absurdity that I'll allow in my games, which is, I allowed a lot of absurdity. But I don't want to break the rules. She tried to use her rhino charge ability on someone by going over another person. And I was like, you cannot drop kick as a rhino. I'm sorry.
As a rhino?
I was like, you are describing a drop kick and you cannot.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm pretty permissive.
So now that Frodo has returned from the Shire, would you like to tell us who you are?
Oh, sure. Hi, guys. I'm Dodger, and I'm a streamer, and I've only DM'd a couple of times, but I've been a player many, many times. So I'm new to the world of DMing, and it's very, very fun.
Well, let me hit you with a question.
Sure.
When you were dungeon mastering, did you think about the fact that what you were doing was a show? Like, did you think about the way that you were narrating and what your players were doing as a thing that was being performed for an audience?
I think I did put a lot of stock in how I was describing things, so in that way it was very performative, but I felt like that was important for the players more than anything. It was like to describe things in a way that really like set the scene and really like brought them into the world. So after the first time that I did DM a game, a lot of the feedback was like, you took a lot of time to like really describe things for better or for worse. So I don't know. I feel like DMs in general have to be kind of like, they do perform in a way for their players, if not for an audience.
Well, let me bounce the question back to you, Adam, because I think you have the most experience with this. But for me, the few times I DM'd, it was almost a byproduct of just a good group anyways. Like, you have the characters, if you have an interesting setting and they're having a good time, I feel like that makes for a good show. But do you have to cut some corners? Do you change yourself for the show aspect?
I mean, I tend to GM in a way that, like, I'm very aware that it's a show, and I will GM cinematically, much to Dodger's point, to make sure that the people who are watching get a firm idea of what's going on in their head, because that's why we're all there, right? Those people in chat who are like, "Where's the game? The graphics in this are terrible." They're talking about a game. Why can't I see it? You have to speak to those people, right? You have to be like, "Let me help you imagine the game. I'm going to describe The Witcher to you from the beginning to the end, and it's better than playing it." So I think, yeah, like to that end, I definitely think about the way that I'm describing stuff to keep it engaging. But the one place that I personally like have a really hard time kind of like being flexible is around the rules of the game. Like, I think if we're going to play a game, we play it according to the rules that are in the book. But most of the games that we play are not designed to be spectator sports, right? They can be very dull to watch. So when you're playing a game or when you're participating in a role-playing game, being aware that it is a show, is there anything that any of you guys do to make it more fun for the audience? Like, if you know that maybe you could argue in favor of your interpretation of a rule, but it would be better for everyone to just let it go, do you take that step? Or is it more like, because I think a lot of people describe role-playing games as, well, it's just what I would be doing with my friends. So you get the whole thing, good or bad.
One thing that I do is I just make a ruling. If there's a question, I make a ruling and I let Twitch chat look up the rule. Because, they're going to tell you anyway. So I just let them do that work. And like, okay, we'll do it correctly moving forward. But you don't, like in a show, something that you're presenting to an audience, you don't want to bog it down by nitpicking over rules unless your audience is super into it. If that's your thing, by all means, go ahead. There's no one way to run an RPG show. But generally, I'm like, okay, well, this is what makes sense to me. We're just going to do that. Chat. You're already doing it, but look up the rule and tell me.
As players, for the rest of the table, how much do you make an effort to like know the details of the rules of the game that you're playing?
Ooh, that's the embarrassing answer, I think, on behalf of everyone that's ever played a tabletop RPG is zero fucks.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dodger, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of first edition Shadowrun do you remember?
I was literally thinking about Shadowrun when you asked that. I think like when you're playing a complicated game with buds and there's no audience, you don't feel as bad. Like, this sounds terrible. You don't feel as bad when you forget stuff, right? Yeah. But like, you affect the pacing of a show if it's a show. And I think that like, to answer the question that came right before this as like a babby DM, right? The first game that we did, I was obsessively like trying to look things up as they were happening, like, shoot, I don't know what you're supposed to roll for that. Hold on, just give me like a second. I got like,
I do that too. I have like when I DM like I've DM'd for like friends. I
Yeah.
haven't DM'd on a show yet. So like I just have like a pile of books, and I'm just like, well, I'm sorry, but I just want to know what's around that corner in Sigil, and it's a really big city, so you just have to wait a second.
Yeah, Holly was a player the second time that I DM'd, and I did a lot more like just deciding what it was going to be. And people later were like, that's not how you play Dungeon World. And I was like,
Yep.
I know, but it was a show and the pacing was going to die if I didn't just make a call. And
Especially one-shots, I think. If you're doing like a longer run show on a one-shot, getting bogged down in 4 hours with like, wow, that's not the multiplier. I've been
This
like,
is
nah,
only going to
it's-
exist for 4 hours,
Yeah.
and an entire hour of it is going to be me shuffling through papers.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I count on my hands, so like let's just put that out there. And I've done it like on stage in front of thousands of people, and I'm like, yeah, I'm counting on my hands. Like, I'm sorry.
And they say elementary schools failed us. And
It's
you're
a,
like,
universal, it's a universal truth for broadcasters that you do not do math on screen, and then you play a game like Dungeons & Dragons. You're like, all right, so 2 for rage damage, and then I rolled a 6, but then I got to reroll that 1, and Chad is screaming at you 7 seconds later because you're still working.
Yeah.
They're like, it's 5, it's fucking 5. Just write it down and move on.
And there's
Yeah.
a delay. Like they even get it before you with the delay.
Yeah,
You're just like
that happens too. Yeah.
well, it's tough for them. They're NASA rocket scientists. You know. Very frustrating
Yes.
to watch.
Yeah.
To go back to your question, though, one of the things interesting for me as a person that was mostly a player, I've done some DMing, and I like both sides of that coin, but specifically the show angle, I found, like when I first went into it, I designed characters off of exactly how I wanted to play the game. That's kind of a common theme. So they were a leader, they were a fighter, they were very, like I would gamify the situation. But as I kind of kept playing, I actually really enjoyed scenarios where my character was designed in such a way to interact differently with the group. And probably my favorite one I've ever played is like Mr. Sicarian for Stars Without Numbers and Swan Song, the show that Adam and I did. And his whole thing was like, I was going to throw him into trouble, and he was going to literally be like the bodyguard to the unassuming leader. So very different for me because I wanted to be the leader. But with this role, it just made so many more rich situations. And I thought it made for a better show, too, because it puts people in different situations and allows them to play it out, which is a big part of RPG, I think. So.
Well, it's interesting because I think that one thing that makes RPGs as a form of watchable media not only tolerable but good is the player's ability not just to take the spotlight, but to like chill the fuck out for 5 minutes and let someone else do it, and then find ways to support them in doing that. The best games that I've played, there have been players that have that skill, for sure. And I would say that's like for me when I'm picking players, like can they know when to be quiet and to let the other players talk and to boost them. That is the difference between a skilled player and an unskilled one, which is tricky because I think if you're playing with mostly like broadcasters, our skill set is I am the only one speaking. No one is talking to me. There is nothing else going on. I have to be entertaining all the time. So it can be a very unnatural state to just like shut up for a minute.
Yeah, I think that's something like in our game that is really cool is like, I mean, we've been playing for like a year now with my dice camera action game, and like we all care about what happens to each other. So like it's nice to just be able to like if someone's having their like plot point, like their moment, like all the rest of us are so excited to see what happens to them. It's just like, and that's like a sign of a good D&D game where the whole party genuinely likes each other and cares about each other's characters to see what happens versus like sometimes if you're playing like a game at home, you'll have one player who's just like, I'm the king of everything, and you're like, no.
I actually personally really like those scenes in Game of Thrones where everyone is just talking at the same time and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the best. The whole cast is just on screen at the same time talking. Yeah, it's tricky, and I think that that's something that rises from an awareness of being a performer, not just being a good role player, right? Like, I think that the real kind of holy grail of players in this situation are people who can both play and understand the game part of a game, and then those who can participate as, like the metaphor before, playing in a band, right? That you know when it's time for your instrument to come in.
Yeah, I think Adam, I think a few of us were talking about this not too long ago. But that's another difference between being on camera and being off camera with RPGs is, sometimes when you're just like at a table with friends and it's not your scene, quote unquote, you just like get up and grab a snack or something, right? But like when you're on a show, I think it's really cool when you can find a group of people who are, like Holly was saying, like still active listeners, right? who are like invested in everything that's happening in the show, not everything that's happening just with their character.
So when you're playing a game, when you're doing an RPG show, and it's possible, right? Like, because if you're playing live, you don't have access to a computer. But if you're playing over, say, Roll20, you've got. Do you play with chat open or closed?
Open.
This is what a great question, because this is that's the show aspect for me is, and you have to learn to deal with this as well. But I play with it open, and obviously the times where it's a little bit less fun is when you're forgetting something and someone in chat's telling you about it, because they're trying to help, and I'm not like faulting them, but it takes a little bit of the mystique away when that happens. So you're like, oh yeah, I have a second attack, I do it, and it's like, he's dead. And you're like, yeah, I should have. Yeah. And the guy in the chat's like, I did that attack, and so that's where it's a little bit less bad. And there's the thick skin part, but that's part of broadcasting where, man, I had a lot of characters where like I get intelligence 3 or something like that, and I'm sitting there, and I want to be the like J.J. Abrams awesome producer guy who's like, yeah, I do this thing, it's really stupid, isn't it? And someone chats like, you're an idiot, and I'm like, am I the idiot or is it my character? And they're like, no, it's you, and I'm like, and I'm trying to do like the all-knowing wise thing where I'm like, you're right, but I'm like, but it's the character, and they're like, no, it's you. So you do have to have that thick skin, especially. I wear my heart on my sleeve with a lot of my characters too. Sometimes people are like, that's not how that character would do that. I'll be like, bitch, that's exactly what my character would do. Like, but you can't do that. I've had that response. It doesn't go over super well. It doesn't make you a nice guy. Because what's so fun too is to realize the chat's having that experience too. Like, they're invested in your character. When they say that's not what your character would do, they're not trying to hurt your feelings. They're like, no, that character's important to me. This is what I think they would do. And I've learned over time, unfortunately, there's been a few people that they don't like me anymore, because I might have called them a name or two, but hopefully they can know. I've learned and grown, but like, they care. And that's an amazing experience that has enhanced so many of the shows I've been on, is that with that chat, man, I've seen people say they're crying. I've seen people say like, this moment touched me and stuff like that. If you close the chat, or if you're not aware of other people watching, I feel like a certain about like what you're doing is being taken away from you. That's okay. I'm not saying that's wrong, but for me, it's huge. I talk a lot. Sorry, guys.
No, I was like, yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, go ahead.
I had it closed as a DM, but I always have it open as a player. I don't look at it if I'm currently making choices, because everybody has ideas of what your choice should be. So if it's like, again, if it's like a scene with my character in it where I'm like doing a lot of stuff, I won't look until that's over, because I don't want them affecting like a choice that I would make or telling me what the best course of action is, because that's not fun and that's not role play, right?
Yeah.
You have way more control than me, though. I can't close and open a chat. I'm just like,
oh no.
Did you guys see what I did? Sorry, go ahead.
When I play, I leave it open, but it's like, I don't know, there's not a lot of like, I guess there is a lot of suggesting what we do, but I like sometimes I'll also like join the chat and just like spam like little wee woo emotes if something bad happens. It's like little
Now
Jimmy's,
you can't hate me.
Little Jimmy's wee woo. I'm like wee woo. It's like a little alarm. Like that's yeah, and they like the interaction. Like sometimes we'll just be like, oh no, and like so it's that's kind of what I do. I mean, I think if I were DMing on stream though, I wouldn't have it open. I wouldn't like that would stress me out. I don't know why. I think like. Because you're trying to like make that world, you're trying to make it real. And for me, like, if someone was like, "You forgot the thing," DM, I'd be like, "I'm the worst. I forgot." Versus a player, I'm just like, no, my character's flawed. It's fine.
I keep chat open. Anyone that knows me knows that I can't stop shit posting in Twitch chat. It's kind of one of my favorite things to do, and I still do it when I'm in a DM.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Not the answer you expected.
Do
you do it with the chat open? Yeah, I shit talk all the time, just shit posting.
I use a lot of
Just walk the line.
I describe a lot of things with memes because I'm that kind of person. And people in chat are like, what? And I'm like, I will post the link for you as soon as I can so that you two can see exactly what I'm seeing. Like if I had a player that ran into a mind flayer or something. It's like, you look around the corner, you know, Cthulhu-looking guy, and they're like, ugh, and I'm like, so you just kind of like moonwalk out of the room? And they were like, yes, I do exactly that, because that's how it looks in my brain. Like, I live in a very absurd land, and I couldn't shitpost to my chat if I did not have those.
I mean, absurdity matches well with Eldritch horrors, I think. So, yeah.
Cthulhu is a riot. I don't care what anybody says. Cthulhu is hilarious.
I think that's, again, going back to the idea of tabletop RPGs as a form of entertainment media, that's an advantage that we have in that you can't, like, McNulty's not fucking live tweeting while he's busting crime, right? Like, we don't have access to that. It's a finished product. But you can, to some degree or another, as a member of an audience, you can guide or adjust or nudge how a game is going. Like, I know for me, keeping chat open, even as a GM, is a bit like if I have it closed, I feel like I'm doing stand-up, but I can't hear the audience laughing. Yeah. So I'll use it to gauge whether something is working or not. And like Naja said, there have been times in Court of Swords where before I've done something, I've gone in chat and be like, watch this, I'm gonna fuck Max up. And so it's really nice to be able to have that relationship with chat, and I think that it does give us that advantage. So between episodes of a show that's running live, how much attention do you pay to like fan stuff that's going on, like fan art or fan theories or posts about how bad you are at D&D?
I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I love all of that. If there's fan art, I want to see all of it. If people are like invested in any way in my character or in the current story arc, like I want to hear all of their thoughts. I want to hear everything that they think is going on, because nobody knows what's going on because it's happening in Adam's head, and we all know that Adam's head is just like a nightmare. So it's just like, I love it.
Also, Adam doesn't know what's going on either.
Well, no, so to that point, right, like for me as a game master, that's definitely a thing where I'll be like, I would, like, to your point, I'll J.J. Abrams that shit and be like, something mysterious is happening, and I have no idea what it is. But then later, I'll go on the thread and I'll be like, all right, that's what was happening. You're so smart. Look at you, fan. You got it.
I've like written fan fiction for my game, which like I don't know if it's like canon if I write fan fiction for my own character in my own game, but I've done that. Like Anna's done it too. We both done, like we've written. So is Jared. In fact, like everyone in our game is like either drawn something or like we're obsessed. So like we follow the hashtag, and like there's been points where like fans are just like you guys are just fans just like us, as we're like in there and we're in here all the time like posting things on our subreddit. It's like we're like, yes we are. We can't sleep sometimes.
So what do you think drives that, both on your end and on the fans' end? Like, what makes people connected to the characters and plots in role-playing games in a unique way?
I think it's almost, for me, what I've witnessed is it feels very much like an alternate TV show to follow, only it's more engaging for a lot of people. So I hate that it has negative connotation, but it's almost like a soap opera-esque experience where for people, the drama, the development of that character is what's most interesting. I think if you were to strip away the like personality and just be like a 5e, I swing, wow, we killed that dragon. I think as a platform, it wouldn't go anywhere because people would be like, I'd rather have cool graphics and some awesome loot. But with RPG, it's inevitable. It's a funny human experience too, because there's no group, and I'll tell you, Dice Camera Action comes close, where the 4 or 5 people get along perfectly for weeks on end, or make decisions that everyone agrees with. And that's where the fans, it's a little bit like the XCOM factor. They're like, yes, fuck it up. Do it. Get mad, and they want that a little bit, but so do we, because it's fun, because it's an interesting and safer place, it should be anyways, to have that experiment of like, this character is, I had a character with a speech impediment. I was really uncomfortable with it because I didn't want to belittle or demean that impairment for other people, but also as an extremely privileged white male, it's I think healthy to engage in the concept of thinking about being in a different place and putting yourself there. And RPGs allow you to do that, whereas you could in real life, but be weird, different. Not saying pretending to be a witch is weird. It's just.
Oh no,
That's
my
the whole
character's
answer.
weird. She's fine,
Yeah.
but yeah, she's real weird.
So what connects you to a character when you're making a character? Like Jeff, you talked a little bit about it, but when you first go into the idea of a show, how much of a full idea of the character you're going to play do you have in mind, and how much do you let organically develop as you play?
Man, I think the perfect mix is like whatever you're happy with, but those are the two things. Like go into it with an idea, but then I love environmentally a character coming to shape and form and how they interact with other people. And specifically from the angle of like if that other person's excited about a dynamic. I think a good example, and I think a lot of you know him, but like DJ Wheat, his character was like okay in our Stars Without Number game, but when he started to have a relationship with Pi, the AI, he blew up. The guy was drawing pictures, he was excited about it, he was talking to Adam, and it was so fun to see that organically that relationship happened, but then he got into the lore of it and it became something more. For me, I've started the last few years just writing characters specifically with the other people in mind. Like if this group lacks a leader type person, then I'll go ahead and grab those reins, or it's even more fun to be like, nope, there's no leader, and I'm going to push someone who's normally not in that position. When it push is a strong word, but I'm going to leave a vacuum of a space that they may or may not fill, I guess. So it's cool to do it that way.
Yeah, I just like having flawed characters. Like I try to give
That's what I was gonna say, too.
Yeah, I just try to give them flaws, and like that makes it interesting. Like literally, like when we first started our Dice Camera Action game, like my character Strix just ran away at one point. Like she just ran away. And everyone's like, "What is she doing? Like, why would you do that?" And I'm like, "Well, that's what she would have done." Like, and yeah, it didn't turn out great, but I mean, nothing really does. So
They all died.
But it's an interesting to play characters with flaws, and if it's way more rewarding. And then when they grow as characters, that's like the coolest thing because they actually grow as these fake people that you've created. And when they do something that's out of character, that's because of a plot point that your DM has made, I think it also gives the DM a lot of gratification that your character has grown because of their storytelling.
For me, I still approach my characters kind of like NPCs, which is to say, I have this subconscious expectation that they're going to die very quickly.
I mean, we all feel that. Yeah,
they won't be seen
real.
again. Yeah. So I tend to come at it really hard. Like this person is just going to burn everything down. Because with NPCs, the players will be like, I don't like that, I killed him. But when I am the PC, I have way more autonomy than I expect, and I drag games really weird places unless I'm stopped. As you have experienced.
It's true.
Herschel, if I see you, we have beef. But yeah, that's what happens with me.
I like kind of creating a character that's a bit more two-dimensional. I don't like fleshing them out too much because I think a lot of the joy comes out of like acting as that character and being that character and seeing where it goes and fleshing it out naturally. So I love to start with just like, here's some flaws, like Holly was saying. Like, here's what makes my character super unlikable. Shout out to Eugene. And
I love Eugene.
Thank you. I also love Eugene. And then like here's something at least that my character really cares about. I think if you have those two things are really, really good, starting points, and from there you can act as that character and you can become that character and just see where it goes and who they are. So
with all that in mind, like putting time and energy into making a character and thinking about the way that they go, watching them develop, what do you do when they're taken away from you suddenly and randomly by chance, right? Depending on the game that you're playing, there's a relatively decent chance that even though you've put all this thought and energy into your character, today might be the day you never get to play them again. What do you do about that? Like, how do we maintain a cohesive narrative while still knowing that the characters are going to get taken away potentially? And do you think that adds to the game or detracts from it, that randomness and the ability to lose a character so quickly?
I think it initially adds to the game, and specifically also with what the panel's talking about, the show. I think the longer a character exists, it's such a crazy line too, because like, I've witnessed this almost secondhand to you. Like for Stars Without Number and some of your other games, people have been like, man, you're taking it easy on them, you're fluffing the numbers, and then if that actually is happening too much, if a character is being made pseudo-immortal because, stuff's just going, like in the name of the story, they can't die, I think that detracts from the fun for everyone. But the other side is also true. Like if characters just, I made a guy dead, I'm going to play a female. No, you're not, you're dead. And it's like,
no one gets attached.
Yeah, that hurts the story. But like the perfect balance is some of those shows where your character's like constantly just making it by.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
It's like mile stare, like. Mm-hmm.
So whose responsibility is maintaining that tension, right? Like, is it on the player to just learn how to play the game well and not die, or is it on the GM to manipulate things to make sure that you exist in that zone of tension?
I honestly think players understanding the mechanics is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, isn't that ironic?
I know. But like say with D&D, right? The very first time I played D&D, I played a rogue, and I did so many unroguey things, and I died like really, really fast. And then I made another rogue, and I did super unroguey things, and it was like, I'm not playing the right class for how I want to play this game, right? Understanding how your class benefits the group, and that you are part of a group who's like trying to play a game and build a story together. I think that that's really important, and I have absolutely been the person who's just like, but I just want to be super aggro right now, and it's like, you'll die though.
It's tough. I think I don't know that it's anyone's one responsibility, but like I think back of some of the best moments. JP's Tutagub, like his last move, he knew, like there was a giant standing over my passed out body, and I was like, well, I'm going to step on his head, and JP's like, am I in range? And he heals, exposing himself to get his head decapitated. And like, he did that, which is purely narrative. Obviously, it's not like self-preservation, but it made for one of the most epic moments. And then there's other times too where like another GM or DM, whatever, person that talks dragons, Neil, who's big on, he does a lot of shows on Twitch as well. He was a more punitive guy, so like we went to a dinner in our game that we were meant to all just die. There's like a level 9 bodyguard assassin or whatever, we're like level 6. But one of us stepped up and critted his back, like just magically natural 20, cut his head off, because like they went to an effect chart and it was his head and it's gone.
Whoa.
So like, you can't craft that stuff, especially when you do it on roll 20, because we all see the numbers, right? Like if you're a DM, you're like, wow, you got a 20. It's like,
That's what DMs sound like. It's a good DM.
you got a 20.
I'm going to kill you.
Consult my tomb.
That's good.
So it's a weird thing because some shows I have seen suffer from 3 characters get murdered every week. That's fun for a while, but it's tough. The best shows are the ones where they go for a while, but then that one death scene of that one character is so dramatic because of their legend that I don't know whose responsibility is to create that. I think it's nobody's. I think it's like you have to find the best way to like juggle those plates to that point and be like, now they die. Cool. Enough time passed.
I think for a show, so if it's just your game at the table, that's one thing. But when you have an audience, I think the player and the GM should collaborate on that sort of thing. Like if you die, you want the death to be memorable, because nobody's going to remember, the rule or who rolled what, but they're going to remember what happened in like the little movie running in their head.
Right.
So
Good
you
death
want
is a good reward.
Yeah, you want to have a good like epic death or like a colossally comical, awkward one.
Right. Yeah.
You want
it's
like
so
that
tough, though.
standout moment.
I agree with you. Like, it shouldn't just be a rock falls out of the sky and kills him, but at the same time, it's like, and I don't know, Adam, if you have an answer to this, but it's like such a tough line to walk, because if it's fully contrived and it's like, and then he killed you, but it's like so broadcast that everyone knows that was coming. I've seen it. We've had moments like that the chat thought that was what was going on, and sometimes they were right. It does take away from it. So it has to be natural, but it can't be wasteful either, which is such a hard place to go.
It's an art.
I mean, I think the responsibility might fall not on anyone at the table, but at the game you're playing, right? Like choosing a game that doesn't have things that will be harmful to its format as a show. Because there are games that are better to broadcast and games that are worse.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask if you guys have ever played with a system where you've been like, okay, this mechanic is a little unfair, and just like gotten rid of it, like just house ruled it.
Adam up here, #1 proponent. It was one of the funniest times I've ever laughed in an episode. Stars Without Numbers has one of the shittiest space battle mechanics you've ever seen.
Everything about it is great except that.
You shoot interdimensionally, so they're like literally, there'll be someone in this dimension, someone here, you guess which dimension you're shooting into, and the whole time Adam was DMing this, he was like, this is so fucking stupid.
You're like, you're playing Battleship.
We never fought in
did
space
it
again,
No.
which was... Yeah. But the funny part was we have a space weapon called a sand thrower, which that got used like 35 times after that. But it was anti-personnel, so it was like...
That's cool. Yeah. They solved a lot of problems with that sand thrower. A lot of problems.
And we had, probably not to the same extent, but when we were playing Shadowrun and we were in car fights, Adam was always well, we're in a fucking car fight, so.
the big lesson from Mirror Shades, which is a Shadowrun game that we ran, was that you can start with a system and learn very quickly that the player's priorities and the things that the audience likes that reinforce the player's priorities do not match up with the game at all. And you end up playing something completely different. And you can't predict that necessarily right away. Like sometimes you're really lucky and you know the players and you know what kind of show you're going for and you know what you can do and you pick a game, like with Nebula Jazz, right? Like we picked Fate Accelerated for that show because it was gonna work with all the other things we wanted to do. But other times you start playing D&D and you think you're doing Lord of the Rings and you end up doing Blackadder and you're like, this is not helping me anymore. The system is just getting in the way, which is why I think picking the game is as important as picking the right people to play it with.
In our game, I swear, we have to be like kept alive because we're so suboptimal. So, direct quote. So I feel like that's another way that like it's like a collaborative thing with the DM and your system is like the adventure we're going through right now, Tomb of Annihilation, is really brutal. Like it's not easy, and so like we've had a few things where like, okay, so you have like an evil soul in you, so if you die, then a Sararak can take the other soul, and I'm like, oh good, so if we die, we're not dead. Cool, got it.
Put on those water wings, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, except for I'm sure it won't be.
Sometimes you just gotta let the kid drown.
But it's a good collaborative, it's a good collaborative thing where it's like
other
I feel
kids
like
need to learn.
Yeah, we keep the system working for us in these weird, horrific systems. That
I think this is not the year for it, but I think that because of the sudden explosion of RPGs as broadcast media and Wizards of the Coast particularly like backing a lot of that, I can foresee a near future where there is a book explicitly, like a PDF or a book or whatever, explicitly saying like, here are some things you can do to change Dungeons and Dragons to make it more fun to watch. So on that note, before we take it to the audience, if people have questions, I just want to see if there were people in the audience who are looking to maybe like start their own RPG show or they want to do a better job of doing the thing. Y'all have lots of experience. What would be the one thing that you would impart to them that is the most important about doing like RPG as entertainment media?
It's such a shitty answer because I give it so often with streaming, but honestly, the first place it starts is like, I tune into a lot of smaller shows or shows where, because it is awesome, it's just cool to do it, and a lot of people are like, well, let's put it on the internet. If people want to watch us, the more the merrier, but you are performing in front of an audience, so if I had a dime for every time I tune in and there's like a darkened room with a guy who's like 17 feet back. He's got his dirty bed there, and the microphone's like,
dogs.
He's like, wow. You're like, ooh, this is not going to be a good show. It's just no matter what. I don't care how cool your character is. When I'm tuning in, I don't see anything except for the shit show that's going on in your room. So like, does it have to be a green screen? Do you need a professional mic? No, but watch the show and understand that if you're broadcasting on Twitch, there is a certain level of like, just try, you know, and the more you can do, the better. But and it's funny when I say try, because that puts the onus on us. There's people out there who's like, I tried. And you're like, no, you didn't. You didn't try. You didn't try. And they're like, yeah, I did. And I'm like, no, you didn't. So do that. When you do a show, it doesn't have to be top level mega streamer professional quality, but it has to be not distracting, okay. You know, and then where you go from there is better, but that's the foot in the door first thing that has to happen. You could have Robin Williams doing a million voices and an amazing performer, but
it'd be really impressive given that he's dead.
Rest in
If
power.
Robin Williams is on your Twitch stream, call an exorcist.
It's Halloween.
Get that out of the way first.
You would make so much bank if you had Robin Williams on your stream. So you can call your exorcist. I'm calling the bank.
Robin Williams Ghost.
But the point, I mean, I think I've probably made it very clear, but just like that's the first thing. You got to do that. So.
That's I would say the same thing, and also just watch other streams. There's so many good streams out there, and the biggest streams to like the smallest streams, but there's a lot of different ways to do it too. So just tune into like 1 or 2 episodes of like anyone that's playing. Just go to the like D&D tag or role-playing tag on Twitch and just see what people are doing, and you might find a cool new show to watch because there's lots of new people starting up too, and you will get inspiration on how to do your format, because I've seen so many different ways. Like it's some people are in the same room, some people aren't. Like some, and I think that's the really cool thing too, is there's a little room for creativity, so you can kind of do your own thing.
I wish I got inspiration every time I watched a Twitch stream. That's a D&D joke.
I mean, I just get stressed out when I watch anything.
Yikes.
So.
I guess I'm echoing everybody else, but to put it in a nifty little phrase, they're not sessions, they're episodes.
Word.
Like just reframe everything through that lens. The way you interact with your players, your production quality, the way you structure a narrative. Like it's for episodes where you have no script and nobody knows what's going to happen, but episodes instead of just sessions.
And if I could write it on your coattails, one thing I'd add to that I think has to be said too is you're specifically doing it on Twitch or online. One of the most debilitating parts of doing a campaign is that people who jump into the 19th episode aren't going to know what's going on at all. So organizing your previous episodes, categorizing them, having them labeled is actually pretty essential, unless, again, you're not trying. And if you're not trying, then I'm not talking to you. But if you want people to tune in, or like you could build an audience, you have to make it. You have to smash a Twitch streamer in the face with information. You have to be like, this is where the other episodes are. Like, I can't see anything else. You're like, I know. And if you do that, then you can. Yeah. Sorry.
I guess to say something a little bit different. When you're first starting out, it's totally normal to feel like kind of nervous and like you have to get everything right. And, you have to know the mechanics really well and like all of this stuff, or people are going to hate you and yell at you in chat. But honestly, like a lot is forgiven if the people involved are having a good time and have a good rapport with one another and interact really well. You don't have to get everything perfectly because again, it's a show, right? And one of the things that Twitch has taught us, absolutely, is that we love to watch people who are having fun, right? So if you and your players are having fun together, it's okay to stumble and have weird moments where you're like, I actually don't know what that is. And things don't always have to go perfectly, but yeah, there are absolutely production things that will make it so that it is a role-playing game, and you are building a world, and you want people to be able to focus on that world and get immersed in the story. You don't want things to distract from that. So letting people, watch and get excited about the story that you're making, and also get excited about the people who are involved and seeing them have fun is, I think, really important.
Also, I'm going to add one last little tidbit. Split DMing and production. Split those roles, unless you're like super turbo GM like Adam. If you're starting out, you might want to split GMing and production because it's a lot to have on your plate all at once.
Yeah, that's fair. Cool. Well, we don't have a ton of time, so make your move action up to the mic, and we'll do this.
The goofs.
And while you are, I gotta go. So sorry, but thank you, everybody. My
Thanks,
next
Jeff.
panel is in 2 minutes. So.
Oh no, you can do it.
You can do it. Thanks, Jeff. All right.
So go that way.
Lightning round. We'll just go back and forth between the mics. Begin.
Hi, I just was curious to pick your brain on what are your thoughts on having chat have influence over the campaign itself, even something as small.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah?
I will not mince words. I fucking hate it. It's the worst. In the moment. In between episodes, I love it. It's like what we were talking about before. We all get really excited about people's fan theories and their excitement, but there are lots of ways that some streams choose to let chat, usually by way of money, influence what's happening in their game. I do not like that. I could not do it myself. If it works for them, great, but that's not the kind of role-playing game that I'm into.
I can see a future where we have Twitch plays D&D, and chat, it just runs the game, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah, they couldn't be any worse at it than Max, so it's fine.
Wow.
Wow. Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah. At the back.
All right. This is a question for the DMs at the table. I like to DM myself, and I would like to get a show up and running, though I will be honest, a lot of the times when I DM, I pull stuff out of my ass more often than I would like to admit.
That's the best place to
That's
get
how you
stuff.
do it. Yeah. That's where all the good stuff is. Don't listen to Meatloaf.
Yeah.
That's where you're hiding all that stuff.
Butts are beautiful.
Do you have any tips or tricks for maybe just finding better ways to do that, or resources such for stuff like that?
Some games are more permissive to improv than others, right? Don't play a game that requires a lot of help. Play the game that will play to your strengths. Find a system that allows you to just make shit up as you go, and then that will work better than like having to play a game that requires prep, because then you're going to feel bound in by that.
Okay.
That's my thought on the matter.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Andres Genostar. This question kind of piggybacks your last question that you set up, Adam. For those like either first-time streamers bringing role play to Twitch, or even maybe they have done it for a while, we understand there's many different ways that you can improve your show via, production side, GM side, or even player side. But this question more is directed towards what would you recommend as far as those who maybe have had the same amount of viewer casts, trying to get exposure for your game? What would you recommend for those either first time starting or have maybe been playing for a while and they can't get past that 5 viewer count of 4 friends and their mom watching?
Dodger, how do you get famous on the internet?
I have no idea. You make anime goofs and then they come. They just show up.
I mean, it's cool your mom's watching.
Sporting.
My mom doesn't watch my streams.
No.
Maybe reach out to the dev. This is something that's like a burgeoning trend on Twitch, but Twitch streams are bringing a lot of traffic to people that write role-playing games. Wizards of the Coast has recently jumped all over that. But maybe reaching out to them, being like, "Hey, I'm playing your game. If you want to like."
That's actually really good advice. Now
good
is a
idea.
fertile time to get connected with people who are making smaller press RPGs, and a lot of the companies still aren't fully like on that space yet. So you can go to them and be like, "Yo, nobody else is playing your role-playing game on Twitch. I'm starting a show of it. Can you like retweet it? Can you support us in some way?" And hopefully they'll get behind that. But I think, as Najee said, that's really starting to pick up.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hi there. As a filthy bard who loves to throw monkey wrenches into all of my DM's plans, I was curious, any moments that stand out where a player or a party member has completely just surprised the DM and achieved something in a completely unexpected way?
Her name is Caitlin. Everyone knew that was coming. Yeah, so, I mean, some players are just like that, right? Like, I mean, everybody knows my experience. Y'all have seen that shit live, but what about y'all?
I did that once.
Yeah?
I cast Hold Person on Irina, who was like Strahd's like girlfriend, as he was escaping, and
Oh,
she
you don't
fell.
touch a vampire's girlfriend.
And she fell off the horse, the Bucephalus, his like flaming horse, and she died. And so like I killed a main plot character like totally on accident. But I was trying to save her, so.
You saved her by paralyzing her on horseback.
And then she died. I
That
saved
is
her from. I
dangerous.
mean, if death is the sweet release,
Right,
then
yes.
that's what it was.
For sure, you saved her from having
You
to
saved
keep
her
living.
from life.
Yeah, I mean, that's any good example. I mean, I love that stuff though. Like, and if I have players do that too, like, I think it's awesome. So you're not a dirty bard. You're just an exciting player.
So I will say this, and I've said this time and time again in talking to people who play role-playing games. There is a thing, and I'm going to try to keep this quick. There's a thing called the Nuremberg Defense of Gaming, where you do a shitty thing and you say, "Oh, my character would have done it." That is bad. Do not do that. If you are ruining everyone else's fun, fuck you. You're a bad player. If everybody else is watching you be a jackass and is like, "Yeah, this is great," keep doing it.
Yeah. Don't ruin anyone's fun.
But
Yeah.
you don't have to guess. You can ask. You can be like, "Hey, am I being a jackass right now?" And people will hopefully tell you.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then that's a whole
no.
other mess.
Yeah, I think my most off the wall character moment quickly was Britt Wiseman in Risen, the D&D show I just did. Steven's character was turned into a mushroom zombie because Steven moved to Amsterdam. Congratulations to him. But his character, in our very first session 0, he revealed he was terrified of spiders. So I had rewritten Steven's character to like pull in all of these like evil like hell paladin traits, and then Britt's druid shapeshifts into a spider, and I was like, no, he's still fucking terrified of you. He cowers in the corner. This fight's over. That's what the fiction demanded.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I would love to take more questions, but I think we are done. So thank you. The encounter is over. Thanks for coming, everybody. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you, guys.
Mic is on.
The dream.
All right, well, we might as well start. I was going to try to play The Power of Love
through the microphone for you guys, but I don't have that,
We
and
have
the
a
internet's
minute.
bad.
We should have.
All right, hold on. Just talk real quick. Just
No, it's 6 o'clock now. We don't have a minute anymore.
it will get muted on the VOD. All right. Well,
We will make time.
don't need money. Bow, bow, don't need fame.
Perfect.
I'm gonna be the only one doing whatever.
I'm sorry, man. I'm not that into it.
Hi, welcome to the panel. Here's the thing. ... Candid talk from veteran streamers. So what is that about? I'm sure a lot of you guys probably saw that. It's all of us up here, and we've been doing Twitch for a while, and maybe thought we'd have interesting stuff to say. You're wrong. I'm sorry. If that was your expectation. No, there's been a lot of panels on everything, right? From mental health to how do you stay, into streaming, to challenges for new streamers and all that stuff. And I thought it would be very interesting to have a panel that has 4 broadcasters that have been doing it for a very, very long time and have seen the changes that have taken place on Twitch, have seen the changes that take place on streaming and just content in general, because we all make content on a variety of different platforms in a variety of different ways. So I thought it'd be interesting to have 4 of us come up here, talk about a few points that I think are relevant or things that come up a lot when people ask advice and questions for people that have been doing it for a while. And we'll see where it goes. And then, of course, we're going to try to save some points or some time towards the end half for questions, because obviously it's not just us talking at you. We want to hear what you guys want to learn about, and we'll try to answer it in our best way. And the most important thing to take away from this, and that I want to stress, is I consider myself a pretty blunt, forward person, and I've always abided by the ideal that you can be honest with somebody and blunt with somebody without being rude. And sometimes that's really necessary. You need to know what the reality of things are when it comes to all these different facets of streaming and being a streamer. So that's what this panel's about. So if that's not your particular cup of tea, just leave and we'll all judge you. And also it's mature, so we may swear a little bit. Maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't believe it.
Hide your ears.
Hide your ears.
Hide your ears. Hide your toes. I don't know.
Should we try not to do the swearsies?
No, we're trying.
It's mature.
We can swear.
I'm not saying we're going to celebrate swearing or anything up here, but all right. So let's get started. I felt the best way to start it was just to get a little bit of background about who we are, how we got to where we're at, a little concise edition of our journey from doing what we did before this to where we are at now. And we'll start from that side of the table with Dodger. Move this way.
Hello, everybody. I started off doing YouTube about 8 years ago, I think, and I've been streaming a lot more lately. I started off just doing charity streams, and now I stream almost every day, so I obviously love it a lot, but yeah.
Hi, I'm Strippin. I started with YouTube about 7 years ago. I started actually as an employee for a successful YouTube channel that kind of branched out into a business, got into the industry myself, and then about 4 years ago I started full-time broadcasting on Twitch.
I'm Gold Glove, and I started YouTube when I was 17 years old. I'm 26 now. I've been doing it a long time, and then I kind of just was like, hey, I want to stream. It looks fun. So I did it, and I've been doing it ever since.
I'm Gassy Mexican, and I just started stream. No. No.
I'm not a veteran streamer. You've
much
all
like
been
them.
fooled.
I've been doing YouTube and stuff for a very long time, probably about the same time that Gold Glove. We both started very, very early. So it's one of those things too that people are surprised that I'm as young as I am. I'm 26 as well. Did you say 26 or 27? How old are you?
26.
Hey, all right.
I'm the oldest
I was so-
person on this panel.
Yeah, but the thing is, we look older, so we're aging
To
poorly.
be fair, when I
That's
first,
true.
when
I
I
look
first
like a
saw
babby
Max on
child.
YouTube, I thought he was 40 years old. No
Well-
joke.
well, it's
you
like-
had the beard when you were
And also my voice is deeper.
It's true.
That kind of thing. And I always attribute it to I grew up with a brother who's 6 years older than me. But back on track. I started with Halo glitch videos, funny videos, and then that went into machinima. And then from there it went into, and when I say machinima, not the company, I meant actually making videos using the game engine as our
Oh my
our
gosh.
canvas
There are
kind of
probably
thing.
so many people who don't know what machinima actually is.
Well, because it's the
anymore.
company,
That blows
right?
my mind.
Yeah. But that's how I started, and then the whole game commentary and Let's Play thing kind of got popular, and I was like, well, I think I can do that. And a lot of my friends that I'd met doing machinima all tried to do the same thing, and we had success with it. And I attribute that to just I grew up with a brother who's older than me, and we always talked when we played games, and then that led me here, and now I do YouTube and Twitch both at the same time, and we're all kind of the same sort of case, but different, different routes. But that's who we are. I'm going to get the discussion started off. We're going to talk a little bit about some things that I wanted to cover, and then, like I said, we'll go into Q&A. If we go a little too over, I'll try to manage time, and I know I want to make sure to hear what you guys have to say. But first thing, I'm going to pose this to you guys, and we can either do it, all the way on the left and move over if you guys want to do it that way, but have no worries about jumping in. I want to hear what everybody has to say. So, thoughts on where Twitch is nowadays and where it's come from, how the landscape has changed, and what are the pros and what are the cons? If you want to start.
I definitely didn't expect Twitch to branch out into basically just, you can stream whatever you want, right? Because for so long, especially with like Justin and then them making Twitch as like, Twitch is all about gaming. Twitch is a gaming, streaming platform, right? And then Justin got shut down. And I guess it should have seemed inevitable that they would basically turn Twitch into a better version of what Justin was. But I was very surprised when they added in things like social eating, right? They've definitely looked at what streaming types are successful in other countries, with like mukbang and all of that, and tried to incorporate it into Twitch. And I think that it's made it a little bizarre, especially with IRL kind of turning into weird reality show category. But
we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that later.
I think it used to be the Wild West, straight up.
Sure.
And now there's more like defined methods of success, and it's weird because as a streamer, you set up on this gaming site, and then obviously they start branching out, and you have to juggle. New people are coming to the site, but then there's like so many new categories, and it's quite hard to gauge when it's in a good place, I think, sometimes as a broadcaster, because we don't have that many tools. You can go away for a week, and you can come back, and you've lost 300 subs, and that's not a testament to you being bad, but you have no kind of material to gauge that, and I think that's where a lot of the stress comes from, especially in the long term. But yeah, I think it's definitely in a better place than it was. We have a lot more opportunities to monetize, a lot more avenues to monetize, and the platform itself is bigger, which gives us a bigger stage.
Yeah, when I started streaming, it was actually on Justin.tv. I used Flash Media Encoder. It was like
yeah, me too. 500
kilobytes, something like that. It looked terrible. You couldn't even watch it. It was like me and like 3 other people streaming Call of Duty 4 back then. There was just nobody on the platform. Nobody knew that you could stream video games. And now everyone and their grandmother. I mean, there's TwitchCon. You're at TwitchCon. So it's obviously huge now. But everyone streams. And it's not just gaming now. Now it's IRL. And you can basically stream whatever and get away with it now. The platform's just a lot different now. It's hard to be successful on a platform that has so many people working their ass off 24/7.
Totally.
Yeah, if you take a week off, so well, guess what? Someone didn't take a week off, and they're going to take your spot. So it's tough to stay relevant. It's definitely changing, but it is nice that Twitch has made it so it's much easier to monetize, make more money off of it, which obviously is a great thing when you're doing it full time. It's in the right direction, but there is definitely oversaturation. It's a little crazy.
Yeah, you guys covered it pretty well, but I do want to bring up one point because I think, like you said, staying relevant and keeping things alive. What have you guys done, or talk about your experience in doing it for so long? Because that's part of the reason why I selected you guys. You've been doing this so long, in addition to myself, and we've all seen Twitch evolve. What are some of the maybe challenges or just things that you've seen that people do successfully or maybe unsuccessfully? Basically talking about adaptability, changing with the times, seeing where trends go and what trends no longer work. And you guys can just jump in wherever.
Cool. Yeah, for me, I think, let's just talk about the most important thing, the game you're playing or what you're broadcasting. Back in the day, it used to just be Call of Duty streamers. Now you got PUBG. It really depends on the game you're playing. It depends on the category you're in. It really just depends on what you're doing, because some people are there to watch, WoW. Some people are there to watch Call of Duty. So it's just, you got to find your niche, I feel like. So that's the most important part.
And Twitch is very much split into like two categories now, right? You've got people that play one game and they will just put their everything into that game. And then you've got variety broadcasters, which kind of float around. Maybe their personality is what attracts people and they play a bit of everything. And they're very much like very, very different types of broadcaster, even to brands and stuff. So,
I was gonna say it's tough because I think with like right in this last year, there are so many people doing tabletop shows, right? Like D&D shows and stuff like that. That's exploded in the last year, and I think that it winds up being frustrating. Like we always say, whatever sounds fun, that's what you should do. Like you should absolutely, build your brand on what's going to be really fun for you to do. And I think sometimes people come up with a really good idea for something, but then when that thing explodes, they're not necessarily the ones that blow up, right? I think that winds up being kind of frustrating. Like how do you, if, say that I had the very first D&D show, but nobody knew about it, and then shows like Critical Role happened and things like that, and you were just like, oh, all right. like how do you stay ahead of people who have more resources and things like that? I think that's a frustration that a lot of people face.
I think one of the important aspects of that is trying to get game copies early is like such a huge one now. If you can get a copy of a game a day before launch, or you can get it so you have it for when the embargo lifts, like that can make or break a channel. Pretty much, I think nowadays, as a new channel, the only time I've seen a new channel really like explode into kind of like the top area of professional, like full-time broadcasters, is when they get that scoop on an early game and it kind of like lifts their channel up and stays there. That's been huge recently, which is why, embargoes and stuff, like the whole Persona 5 thing was a huge issue for everybody, and being strict with coverage.
Yeah, that's huge, actually. I mean, I've been dealing with early copies of games since early YouTube days. And I was a Let's Player. I like to play single-player games, and I'd be like, man, I can't wait for this game to come out. I'm going to buy it when it drops at midnight. And then you look on YouTube, and there's already an entire Let's Play of someone who got it early. And you're like, well, there's no point in me doing that. Especially, when it's PewDiePie and he's got millions of views. It's
right.
Okay, well, I don't know why I'm going to play that game now. So
It's nuts, too, because it exponentially gets harder to be amongst the first people to do any given thing on YouTube or Twitch. Because as the numbers of people that are streaming and doing it, it's just this huge net that's just being cast out there. And everybody, I mean, you said like early copies of games and reaching out to devs. I feel like that's a huge thing too, especially for people that are like maybe mid to like larger broadcasters, like, that's kind of like bread and butter and things. And you've already established those relationships. But even now for smaller broadcasters, being really good at finding games that no one has seen before, something that's completely new, or something that's like takes a game that maybe we've seen before and throws it on its I'm like you said, I'm blown away by how many people are on YouTube that already have a Let's Play of something that I was like, oh, this just came out yesterday.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they have like a
how
full
did you
playthrough.
already have 3 videos of this or 5 videos of this?
Yeah, or
and
25.
And that can be really, really stressful on us as broadcasters, like feeling like we constantly need to be, because again, being candid, we compete with each other, right? But we're all colleagues is the thing. Like we what's good for one of us may be good for another person, because we all look at and notice what everyone else is doing. And the thing that we do, and I've always impressed upon people, is don't be afraid to watch other streamers, and not necessarily, I hate the term copycat. You copy this person because you played this game, or because you did something this way. The most important thing, and I mentioned it on the panel yesterday, is to change that. Make it your own. Make it your own flair, your own spice.
Why is this person getting more views than me?
And sometimes it can rack your brain. You have no idea why somebody is getting more views than you. You're like, you feel really good about a stream. And you'll end your stream, and you'll see someone streaming in that same game category, and they have like 1,000 more viewers than you, or a couple hundred more, or whatever it may be, and that can mess with you. So it's actually a perfect segue into something that I always like to talk about, especially to pick your guys' brains. What do you guys do when things get tough? What are some of the personal demons that come out? And obviously share as much as you're comfortable with, but if you guys have anecdotes or anything like that, and then also to not bring down the room, what's some advice to help people that I know have gone through it? Because it's one of those things again, like last night I talked about it on the other panel, but it's crazy, and I think people need to realize you're not alone when it comes to all those thoughts you're having as far as like, why is my channel not growing? Why did I get this many viewers this time, but not so many viewers like the previous time? Everybody is so insecure, and I need you to realize that. Even the ones that you think have it all together.
Shroud, Dr. Disrespect, they have the same things going through their minds every day.
So,
all streamers do that.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit. Again, we could just go left to right or however you guys are comfortable. Just talking about some things that you guys have dealt with, whatever it may be, because everybody likes to believe that streaming is all, fun times and great and you have the best job in the world, and we do. It's amazing to be able to be where we're at, but, there's also the flip side of that. So.
Yeah, I mean, like streaming is so fun, honestly. As somebody who's done YouTube for a really, really long time, like streaming for the most part is just like you become so much closer with your audience because there's that direct interaction, right? I absolutely love streaming and seeing, them react in a positive way to what I'm doing. I realized very early, though, that I needed to have good mods. Like, I needed to have a really good team of mods. And a lot of times when I'm talking with people who have just started streaming, they're like, I don't know what to do because people come in and they say all kinds of terrible stuff, and I don't know how to handle it. And normally, like, the first thing that I say is, you should find good mods, or at least a good mod, right? Like, depending on your size. Because we do have to have a thick skin, for sure. You have to be able to see past the negative responses. You also need to be able to look at things clearly sometimes and say, all right, that was actually good critique for me, and not just take every negative thing as, I don't know why you're bashing me, right? But I realized that I had a much better time streaming, had like way more energy and just enjoyed it so much more, and thus like produced a better stream if I had mods who knew exactly the sort of things that I didn't tolerate and that I didn't want to be seeing, right? And if they're good, they're able to get rid of that before you even see it most of the time. Aside from that, I think the only other thing would be that about a year ago or so, I was told that I was one of the top female broadcasters, which was amazing. I was like, really? That's so awesome, right? And I was so excited. But I've realized lately that I'm constantly worried that I'm not anymore. And it's like a really bizarre feeling because I don't want to constantly be like, feeling like I'm in more competition with other female broadcasters than with broadcasters as a whole. But being told that, I'm now like, but I want to stay there, right? And I think sometimes I have to sit and look at the big picture of like, I want to be a top broadcaster, period, right? I want to work harder and be one of the best broadcasters if that's possible for me, instead of constantly being like, man, what if I'm not one of the best girls anymore? Like, we just have these like weird things that eat at us even though we know that they're kind of dumb.
Yeah, my biggest demon is time off, and I know this is super common with veteran broadcasters. As an example, we got married this year, Dukes and I. Yeah, I'm under new management. But the process of going to get married, I was the best man at a wedding, and then we had our wedding, and it took about 3 weeks to plan. And I would occasionally think, oh man, I've had so much time off. This is bad. And I think I dropped 30% of my revenue, like my monthly revenue in sub count and otherwise, by doing my own wedding. And it was like such a stressful thing in the back of my mind. And we actually didn't go on a honeymoon because
we haven't been on a honeymoon
we
because
had
we were
lost
like, we
so
need to
many
go back and
subs
stream.
from time off that it was all, we were like, we have to get back to work.
Yeah.
And so we did. So that's going to be in the future when we grind up again. Grind is like the perfect word to describe Twitch, really.
And you hear that word thrown around a lot too, like, oh, on the grind and all that. And this is just a frank moment too, like of just people throw that word around a lot, and sometimes the people that say it, I'm like, are you really grinding? Are you though? No, and I say that too, not as like, oh, I'm looking down on these people or anything like that. because it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thought process, right? That a lot of streamers do when you see somebody saying like, "Oh, I'm doing this," or maybe you're seeing them say like, "I'm so happy that I hit this goal," and either you can have one of two reactions to that. You can be like, "That's not that big," and I can say that as a veteran broadcaster because I've been doing it for a while, and you can also have the other reaction of, "How did you do that so quickly?"
Right.
Because from us, like, and I think this also translates to content made on YouTube and things like that, just content creation in general. It's changed so much, and I think one of the things that I've noticed the most is when somebody explodes now, they explode.
Yeah.
Like before, it was like you gained a little bit of traction. Sometimes you would have people that blew up quite a lot, but it makes sense, right? Because the whole entertainment industry in our side, in our corner of the internet, and what we do is just growing like crazy. It's new media, right? And advertisers and all these different companies are now starting to, I'd like to say like, maybe a year or so back, advertisers started taking it seriously, more seriously. Like on an actual, AAA advertisers would come out to us, and that never happened. And it was a very weird time in being a broadcaster and a content creator. You're like, wait, Sony wants to work with me, or things like that. And if you have something, if you have something to add in.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. Like people explode now. 3 years ago, when a huge streamer was a huge streamer, he didn't have a big sub count. He just got a lot of viewers. His content was entertaining. It was about the content. And I feel like now, and I'm not trying to bash on any big streamer with a big sub count, because they're great entertainers, but a lot of them I feel like it's just a competition to get subs now. It's not about the actual car content or the gameplay or what they're actually doing on stream. I would say 3 or 4 years ago, I was in top 5 broadcasters on Twitch. I had the biggest number, or top 5 biggest numbers.
Yeah.
My sub count never exceeded what I hear now. It's ridiculous the sub counts I've been seeing on Twitch.
And also hearing the sub counts of other people, and this is part of the reason why I have no problem with anybody that shares their sub counts or anything like that, but it's very much part of the reason my own interpersonal demons and insecurity and where I'm at and how I stack up to other broadcasters, even my friends. It doesn't matter if I know you or not. I don't show that. I don't show my sub numbers, one, because honestly, it would probably hurt my ego a little bit if I'm being completely forward and candid with you guys. And also the other side, which is a very big part of it, and I like to be very private about my finances. I think personally it's not something that is, everyone else's business. And when you know somebody's sub count, and again, like if people are comfortable sharing their sub count, that's fine. It's totally cool. I'm not knocking any of those people. But I personally am not. Because I've noticed that people change the way that they treat you when they find out the ballpark range of how much you make.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I even have people, because I'm not open about how many subs I have either, but I have people who think that they know how many I have, and then they do the math, and then they'll send me messages being like, I don't understand why you're doing this when you make X amount of money a year. And I'm like, God, I wish I made that much money, right? But yeah, I mean, when you don't have that public and it still happens, it would be even worse. I feel like.
It's funny because I think we can all agree this is YouTubers. That's kind of how YouTube went.
Yeah.
YouTube started becoming all about your sub count.
Like Social Blade and stuff, like guessing
brands
how much
would
money
only
you have.
care about your sub count, and Twitch is just kind of a couple years in front, and the same kind of thing is happening. Like as the market saturates, like it did on YouTube, it becomes less about doing it for enjoyment, and it becomes more about statistics, and those statistics then focus on the money. And I even had a couple of brands at the con today. And they'd be like, hey, do you want to sign up for our streamer program? Cool, how many subs do you have? That was a question.
Yeah, no,
they would
and
ask me.
That's something that
I've been asked
that
that too.
That
I
never
was like,
used
none
to
of
be
your
really a
fucking
thing.
business how many subs I have. What do you mean?
Yeah, that never used to be a thing. Talking
So
about
it's-
how
yeah.
times have changed
It's crazy.
and how Twitch has evolved and how broadcasters, large or small, get treated.
But
It
again,
become-
that's how YouTube has been for a few years now. Like if I went to a convention and I was like, hey, this is my YouTube channel, they'd be like, cool. How many views would you say you get a month? I'm like, I don't know. Like
that is such a broad question too. It's like, I don't know. It depends on the game that comes out. It depends on how much free time I have. It depends
it's different every month, my dude. I don't know.
Like content creation in general, anybody who's been doing it for a while knows its peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
It never is like, wee, like forever. And when you first start out,
You learn that the hard way.
You learn that the hard way.
learn that
And
the hard
as
way.
when you first start out too, and for anybody that maybe is experiencing some growth right now, enjoy it, but also prepare yourself.
Because it will stop.
It will stop. Whether or not I'm not saying you're going to plummet, down into just being completely nobody knows who you are anymore or anything like that. Obviously, you have some traction, so take steps to sustain that traction.
Yeah.
And try to be realistic with the way you can do it. This is something I always impress upon people too. Be realistic with the time that you have that's free time that you can plan and stream and all that stuff, and especially if you're not full-time yet, and your regular life, what you have going on in your regular life. And this is a perfect segue, and I didn't mean to, but go ahead, add on to it.
Well, I just think it's the balance is the most important part, but don't put your, all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You're not going, like, even if you do have growth, it doesn't mean you're gonna, I think the hardest part in terms of content creation is long-term, staying relevant for a long amount of time. It's the toughest thing. I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot of people who were absolute giants, even on YouTube when I was young, and I don't even know where they are anymore. Like, I haven't seen them in years. I think just long-term success is one of the hardest things to do in content creation. I think that's what people should strive for.
Yeah, and to know that, like, there's those dips in growth you see when you're starting out, that doesn't change. No matter how long you are a broadcaster for, the numbers are bigger, but the dips are still there. Like, that challenge is going to be ever present in this industry.
Yeah. And like I said, this is a perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about, which is managing having a life. Streaming and being passionate about the thing that we do and the thing that we think we do best, and our absolute passion, we can do it forever, and having a life, maintaining relationships, maintaining your health, maintaining your socialness. That's a dumb word. Your social life. No, being social, because human beings, as a species, we're social creatures. Whether or not someone's an introvert or not, there's always some person that you're okay talking with. And when you stream by yourself and you're so addicted to streaming, I think that's the proper term too, especially for people nowadays that are so hungry to gain success. It's an addiction.
100%.
And it's, as an addiction, you need to manage that. You need to figure out what makes you be detrimental to your health and all of these things. So I want to hear you guys talk about that. But also, if I don't use the bathroom right now, my bladder is going to explode.
Leave in your own panel?
Are you kidding?
No, I'm going to run. So I don't know if this has ever been done.
Unprofessional.
All right.
I don't know.
Unsubscribed. Unfollowed.
Unsubbed, bro.
Max
Come
told
on.
us to be here 30 minutes early. He showed up 5 minutes early. 5 minutes late.
Yeah, 5 minutes late.
I was here when we
He's
started.
5 minutes early, but
All right, you
25
better
minutes
run.
late for
No,
the agreement.
and here's the thing.
You weren't here.
I know.
all right?
I know this is a topic you guys can talk about a whole bunch, and if you guys run out of things to say, there it is right there.
Okay. Thank you.
Professional.
All right.
This is not a joke. I'm going to run out this door, and then I'm going to run back, and you guys are going to be impressed by how quick I am.
Everybody time him.
This is a
If you want
segue
to.
because what I was going to mention is relying on friends.
I'm leaving right now. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to be so fast.
Go!
Okay.
If you have to pee that bad, my dude, go!
So the balance. How do you guys are married? Tell us the balance.
I had a life once. It was long ago. I dream about it sometimes.
Yeah, in the last year or so, I've been trying really hard to have it be like, this is when I start, this is when I end, and then I go home and I cook, or I hang out with my cats, or I boring,
That's
just
not a social life.
normal
life
stuff.
stuff, yeah.
But it's like self-care, right? I think I don't know. For me, like, both Sam and I, we wound up feeling really odd at a certain point working at home. So we actually wound up moving to an office building with a bunch of our friends that are streamers and YouTubers, so that we kind of had that business social interaction where we were seeing our friends, but we were also getting our work done.
You would just you would interact with someone just walking into work,
Yeah.
as opposed to waking up, getting out of bed, sitting on your computer, and then that's it.
It's better
then going
for
back to
self-motivation as well.
Yeah.
It's tough when it's that convenient. You're like, I'll just lay in bed for an extra 30 minutes. But when you have to actually go somewhere, make an effort, go to your job.
And you see this with a lot of veteran broadcasters too. They're moving to an area, right?
Yeah.
Like they're moving. There's a lot of streamers moving to Portland, and a lot of streamers moving to Texas, and they're moving to areas where Hey!
All right, that was pretty quick.
That was quick.
Yes, I washed my hands, feel them. They're still
No,
wet.
I'm good. I'll pass on that one.
So Max, we've moved on to a new question. I'm kidding. Hey, nice.
We're
1.5 minutes? That's pretty good.
You guys timed it?
Now I can drink more water.
There you go.
Where we at?
I was talking about streamers Our friends, we've actually all got a building together where we interact in the workplace, and it helps keep that social aspect going. There was a point where I worked from home, and I got real depressed because I just wouldn't see people. It would just be like, get up, work, go sleep. But we're saying there's definitely a trend now with veteran streamers where they're actually moving to areas with other streamers, so they can socialize with people that kind of share their passion and also understand the work hours and the complications.
I think the work hours are very important. Being able to hang out with your friends that are also streamers, it's like you usually take the same time off, especially if you're friends with night streamers. You can hang out during the day. Most people, sorry, my voice is, I'm cracking like a 13-year-old boy. But if you hang out with late night streamers, you're going to know that your friends probably aren't going to be, working during the day, like most people who have normal jobs. So that's huge for me. Like all my friends, we can hang out, at weird hours, which is great. Balance is really tough for me. Like that's something I've been struggling with for over 2 years. I like he said earlier, I got addicted to streaming and success.
Me too.
And my numbers were growing exponentially, and I just loved it. I only wanted to make videos. I only wanted to stream. And then I noticed it affecting my health. I noticed it affecting my personal life, my family. I never saw my mom or my dad. I didn't talk to anybody. My stream was great, but I was unhappy in pretty much every other aspect of my life. And I changed that. I did. And my numbers have taken a hit for it, but I'm happier for it. And I had to find my balance, and I'm still struggling with that every day. I think I do a lot better. Like people complain when I take a day off, but man, I need that day off. I need it.
I totally agree with you.
There's something that I've always kind of reminded myself to keep me grounded with that point. And it's the question that I always want to pose to you guys and to everyone here is, what would you rather have even in life? Tremendous success. You are the peak and the pinnacle of what you do. Or happiness.
Yeah. It's very hard to
And
get
being
both.
successful still.
Yeah.
You can still be successful and have happiness. For me, and that's a personal question, you need to answer that for yourself, what you want out of life and what you want out of streaming. Would you rather, put everything into streaming and then watch everything potentially fall away to the wayside, or still be happy and still be successful, but not have your health fail, not have your social relationships fall apart, not have, your pets be neglected, not have, all these things. And for me, the way I came to the conclusion of I want happiness, because as I mentioned this before, and there's a lot of stuff that I keep saying that I've mentioned before in the past, because I think it's still relevant and important to hear, is I used to upload 3 videos a day. I used to stream also in that same day, 6 or 8 hours throughout the entire day, and then there's no room at all for any of that, for socializing with your significant other, and making sure that you're eating right, because you can't eat right because you need something quick, and what's quick, usually it's fast food. And we do that too. We still do that.
We still do that, yeah.
Every day.
I eat terribly.
I used to be hot. I did.
I never was.
I was
so.
like 22.
Yeah.
Life was good.
Look at you now. Look at your beard. You were just telling me.
Don't look at me.
So for me, what I ended up doing was I needed to take time off in terms of, I needed to take at least 1 or 2 days out of the week that I just don't do streaming. And every now and then, if something is coming up like a new game or you get a really good sponsorship opportunity, and maybe there's an exception for that. And it's up to you to figure out what that exception is and what parameters that falls within. But for me, I take weekends off typically. So you won't see really me streaming on Saturdays and Sundays. And that's a big deal, because a lot of people are off work as well, and they're off school on Saturdays and Sundays. And that took a lot of thought to think about, like, well, realistically, I need a time during the week, and to me, that worked the best. Taking off a day or 2. And what I want to impress is, like, it doesn't have to be a day or 2. Whatever makes sense for you in that current moment. Start small or bigger if you think it'll still work, but you need to do something. That's the best way to come out of any rut, is start taking one little step in the positive direction that is going to make your life better, and it's going to improve the thing that you're no longer happy about. But what we do is same thing with like going to sleep, right? Like having a sleep schedule. It is the easiest thing in the world, but it's not. No. It's easy to tell yourself, like, well, if I go to bed right now, I'll have this amount of hours and blah, blah, blah. And there's a formula in front of you that says if A plus B equals C, I will be up and early, and it'll be great, and I'll be productive. And then you turn on Netflix, and you watch a whole season of House of Cards or whatever. But striving to do just that little bit, because there's no way trying to do just that little bit is going to make you worse.
Yeah, and I think that as streamers too, especially the bigger streamers, we need to not glorify working yourself to the bone.
Yeah.
Because I think that we are part of the problem. You know, it's hard not to look at somebody who streams constantly and always has lots of energy and like is really killing it. It's hard not to look at them and be like, dang, they're doing great, right? Because we've been there and we know that inside, they're just
They
like,
ain't doing too good.
I would love
No,
to go to
there's no way.
sleep and maybe see my mom and like, just, God.
That's the important thing too, is like you don't see that other side. That person that's killing it and doing great and stuff, you just see the success. You don't see anything else, and it's really dangerous to assume that, like everything's great in their life. You got to look at streamers as people. And a lot of people just look at them as broadcasters, as the guy, the funny guy. And that's cool. Like, that's what we want. We want you to laugh. We want you to love the stream.
It means you're good at your job, right? If they don't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, I've done that too. Like, I've always said it this way. People that follow your stream a whole bunch are going to know when you're off. Like, there's some people that, like the regulars, the ones that are the diehards, and you think you're fooling people. So that's why when I'm in a horrible mood and I'm like, well, maybe I'll try to hide it, I just don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't stream if I'm not in a good mood these
Yep.
days. It's just not, people can tell, especially the people who've been around for years and years and years. It's just not worth it. And why would I want to produce a terrible cast when I'm in a bad mood? You know, so I try to only stream when I'm in a good mood these days. And that's hard because, you know, that may be taking an extra day off that you weren't supposed to and pissing some people off. But it's like, I would rather miss a day than put on a terrible cast for 8 hours that nobody wants to watch.
I think the other solution to that is playing games with friends too. Having like a day or 2 days or a game where you have other broadcasters and you are socializing, not necessarily in person, but you're not doing a solo broadcast.
Yeah.
I think all of us do that actually up here.
Yeah,
And, I think that's pretty important as a broadcaster, just to have other people to play and interact with that aren't like an invisible audience.
I am typically a pretty happy person. So when I'm in a bad mood, honestly, normally I'll still stream and just be like, I gotta be honest, guys, I'm like in a really shitty mood. And I'll turn off the webcam and I'll be like, we're playing Minesweeper. Guess what? This is what I want to play right now, and I'm in a bad mood, so that's what's happening, right? And the views are way lower, right? But like, it's fine because I feel like if I'm being straight up with them about the times when I'm in a bad mood, you know, then like, I don't know. It
Makes you more human.
Yeah.
They don't look at you as
She's the
like
best of us.
She is.
Yeah.
She is. No, I mean, it's a lot of viewers don't do it, but they do it. They look at you like a entertaining monkey. Like, monkey, dance for me, please.
Yeah.
Like, you should be on at this time. I'm waiting, monkey. Come on. It's tough. It's like, I'm a human. Like, I'm a real boy, Dad.
And the thing is too is like, for me it's and I know that you all can relate to this too. That sense of letting your audience down is the worst feeling in the world. And I know you guys tell us like, you can't let us down. Like, you're awesome. You've helped me so many times. And I want to let you guys know that you help us too.
Yeah.
Like, if we're maybe we're not in the worst mood ever, and it's not the worst day we've had, but maybe we're having some thoughts that go on in our head in terms of like, well, this streamer's doing what I'm about to do way better. Why am I even gonna try? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people know who I am. Cool, great. And it doesn't change as you scale up. Everybody thinks like you're a really established veteran broadcaster. That's it. You're great. Why would you ever feel bad?
Right.
It keeps going. And what I want you viewers to know is that when we say showing up and just viewing the stream and like interacting in chat really helps us, it does.
It does.
Well, yeah.
It
I
really
mean,
does.
shoot, my chat can change my mood completely in a day. Like, maybe I'm not feeling my stream. I'm kind of in a mood, and I start my stream, and everyone's having a blast. It's a great stream, and by the end, I'm like, man, that was awesome. That was such a good time.
Totally.
I had a
The
blast.
chat are often more entertaining than I am.
Yeah. They're the funny
And you
ones.
just let it happen.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right. Here's the last topic we're going to do, and then we're going to jump right into Q&A. I wish we had more time to talk about this one, but I do want to leave some time for Q&A. IRL. That's a thing that has existed for a number of years now, I believe at this point. And it's come under fire a little bit, right? We've seen it. We've seen people talk about it, and it's been kind of something that people have been talking about at this con. And I want to know what your guys' view is on IRL, where it came from, but mainly focusing on where it is now and how it can be improved and things of that nature. Your thoughts on IRL as it stands now from where it was.
I like IRL streaming. I mean, I'm not an IRL streamer. I'm boring, so I just sit around. But you know, I enjoy it. I watch it. I think it's fun. There's a difference between being an IRL streamer and just shoving a camera in someone's face and expecting them to dance for you, for your viewers, or waiting for something bad to happen so that you catch it on film. I don't like that. You know, and that's been an issue even here at this TwitchCon. Some IRL streamers don't know personal boundaries or personal space.
Yeah.
That's really my only gripe with it. But other than that,
and it's important. I think I feel like on this I can speak for all of us. We don't dislike IRL. You know what I mean? Like talking about it is not saying like, oh, IRL's the worst now. No, it's just like as anything becomes more popular and more, you know, people are trying it and innovating on it and trying different stuff. You need to establish some good practices. Kind of thing. And I just want to hear more about what you guys think would be, you know, kind of common sense things. Well, things that you think would be common sense, like not shoving a camera in somebody's face. You know what I mean? About IRL specifically. If you want to jump in over there.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much completely agree with Goldie. There are some streamers and their shtick is like, I'm going to harass this guy. Yeah. I'm just going to stick a camera in their face. I think Twitch needs to be a bit stricter with what they find acceptable in the category. But for the most part, I've watched some hilarious and amazing streams in IRL.
Exactly.
And I think there's some great role models out there, and I think Twitch should maybe put the spotlight on them. To give people a better example of what to do, because it really does feel like the Wild West.
It does. No, that's why I want to talk about it, because we talked about it before. It's a parallel of how Twitch just in general used to be the Wild West, and now it's got, you know, all these streamers have established kind of good practices and how to do things, and IRL now is one of those things that it's an amazing category, and there's so much potential there.
Yeah.
And there's people that, I would say the majority of people are doing really, really cool stuff, whether it be small or big. But
yeah, like a bunch of IRL streamers just went to Japan and they filmed the whole thing. That's amazing. That's
all
super
those
cool.
streams were so fun to watch.
You had like 30,000 people that kind of went to Japan.
Exactly, yeah.
That's an amazing experience.
Really cool.
Yeah, I
it's
think
an
that's
option for people that don't have the financial ability or even just time ability to go do that, and they see it and they're interacting with their favorite broadcaster whose personality they already like. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit, but that's what I think is, I think you hit it too, like Sam, that Twitch needs to do a little bit better, and I think they will do better. I think they're going to reach out to people that are established in IRL and just other broadcasters in general that I think have been doing it for a little bit and kind of innovating on the category. And I think I would be very surprised if you don't see something from them saying like, here's some good practices, here's maybe an update to TOS and all that. But I do want to get to questions, so that microphone, line up. We'll try to get through them as much as we can. I'm going to ask you guys to try to be brief with your thought and try to be concise so that way we can get through it as best we can. But go ahead. What's your name?
Western. First, I want to say thank you for opening your lives to us. Awesome.
That's what we do.
And my question is, obviously all of us know what streamers and Twitch are, but there's a lot of people that just have no fucking idea what it is.
Yeah, there it is, that curse.
And do you think it's like in your favor, or it's kind of swimming upstream when you try and do something like your taxes or get a car loan? Like, is it easy to share income statements? And is there infrastructure there for entrepreneurs like yourself?
There is, but it's still in its development stages.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's actually still really hard to find like a solid, you know, like CPA or financial person who understands the space that you're working in. And I know they can elaborate on it more, but it's there. But it's something that's ever developing, and I want to hear if you guys, you know.
I bought a house 2 years ago, and that was the toughest thing I've ever done.
I'm so sorry.
It took so long, basically because how the heck does a 23-year-old kid say that? Show him my PayPal, statements. Like, how the heck am I supposed to prove that to anybody? They're like, you make how much? How did you make this money? Wait, people give this to you on the internet? Excuse me, are you in a different type of entertainment industry, sir?
No, that's a big one.
No, trust me, I got that a lot. I still get that.
Stripping,
yeah,
so
especially if you're.
I mean, I'm Gold Glove, bro.
Yeah, all right.
They think I like own a condom company or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, no,
we should make a corporation.
Gold Glove and stripping.
Yeah. Online entertainment.
Trojan, are you watching this?
Winku, winku.
No, but it's definitely developing. He said it. I found the CPA. She's my saving grace, and she basically takes care of everything. So if you can find someone that kind of understands it or is willing to learn about it, that's definitely the most important part. Yeah.
I actually know a lot of broadcasters that share the same accountant because there's a few of them that do understand the space and
or have learned at this
because
everybody
they realize
shares.
it's a really good opportunity for them because it's just an untapped market. But yeah, they are kind of like it's still quite difficult to do stuff in modern society when no one knows how you earn money.
I mean,
and explaining it as just trying to ride in a fucking taxi and they ask you what you do, and then the rabbit hole for the taxi ride is unbelievable. I would rather say I'm a lion tamer than try and explain.
That's
what's
straightforward.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, he tames lions. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, it's not as bad as trying to buy a house, although we've looked into that before and it's a nightmare. So congrats.
Thank you.
Even when we were trying to rent, like she was coming back to us over and over, being like, "Are these real like receipts from a company though? Like, because they look a little fishy." And I was like, "I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is what I got." So.
But yeah, to summarize, it's out there, but it's still developing.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Yeah, clap if you want to. Go for it.
Also, thank you for opening up your lives. It is interesting and awesome to hear. As a very young broadcaster, I know there's probably other people in the same vein. I would love to know more about some of the things that implied for networking. I've heard a lot of people say, A, get your schedule set, and B, network. And so I'd love to know kind of from a context of when you were younger broadcasters, what you did to be able to give to people in a no self-promotion world. Obviously, you want to hustle and you want to do what you can, but I'd love to know more of the context for how you guys networked whenever you were getting started.
I think my best piece of advice with networking that I've said to a lot of different people that ask, and I think it still works, is just people have gotten so concerned and obsessed even with grinding and trying to network with this person because they have a big viewing people as people and being genuine, like recognizing that they're a person, you're a person, and you can still talk to somebody. For instance, if you come up to me and you just shove a business card in my face and you just say hey, this is me, blah blah blah, okay, bye. I'm never going to watch your stream. I'm just not going to do it. I might take the card, and I have taken the card. Candid speak. See, I'm being truthful. No, I have taken the card, but it's a world of difference if you come up to me and you talk to me like a person, and you say, "This is what I love what you do. You know what I mean? I take a lot of inspiration from you, and I wanna try to learn and do better. And if you want to check out my channel, great. But if not, no worries. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
You leave no stress involved. There's nothing attached. It's up to us. And yeah, Dodger, if you want to jump in.
I was going to say, we were talking about this on a panel earlier today called Streaming and Social Media. We were talking about how we're much more, if it's like in a stream situation and we see a fellow broadcaster like in our chat, just like hanging out, enjoying the stream, interacting with people, like that's really awesome, right? To have people just like tweet at us and be like, "Hey, that was super cool when you were playing this game. Did you know this about the game?" And you're like, "Whoa, that's awesome. I didn't know that," right? Building off of what Max said, just like connecting with people as people, connecting with people who share your interests. It's going to be a much more natural way for interest to take hold rather than just being like, "Retweet this, take my card."
Yeah.
Bye.
There's nothing wrong with business cards. There's nothing wrong with wanting to network and stuff like that. But I think, especially now, since as stuff becomes more competitive and the market of just being a broadcaster becomes more saturated, people have become more aggressive in that way and maybe they don't even realize what they're doing. You know what I mean? They've just seen other people do it and they think that's how you do it. That's common practice. Well, I'm here to tell you that from a larger broadcaster's perspective, people that have done it for a while, not even large broadcasters, people that are just, a little bit established or whatever, treating us like people, and having that conversation, allowing the other person to talk and have a dialogue that two people are actually having a discussion rather than just being talked at.
I would say, honestly, most of the relationships I've formed with other people on Twitch have been events like this, and I've just had a drink with them at the bar. And they were super cool, and I was super cool, and we stayed in touch. It's as simple as that. So
hopefully that helps. But thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yay!
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I'll continue the trend of thanking you guys for sharing, just because that's becoming a thing. So I've heard a lot of people talk about, streaming is not for everybody. There's demons involved. Like, it can be really tough. And what I keep wondering is, as you guys were transitioning to becoming full-time streamers, did you struggle with concern about the job security of it and, what would happen if you decided you didn't want to be a streamer anymore and then you wanted to go back into the workforce and have to explain, like, oh, my last 3 years were, as a streamer, like, how do you explain that? And, like, do you guys worry about that, or did you when you first started out, and how did you kind of handle that?
I think probably all of us think about
Yeah.
that a lot, right?
Still.
With YouTube right now, like, people who are making great money are making no money right now on YouTube, and it's been like a huge stressor for people who are entirely YouTubers. I think that it's always good to be really realistic about, like, this is an incredible job that we are so blessed to have, right? But it's important to think about, like, what would I do if it fell apart? Like, what would be the fallback? So yeah, I think that that's something that we think about all the time.
Yeah, that's something I think about all the time. What if Twitch just disappears? What if YouTube disappeared? What am I gonna do? I'll be honest. I was 17 when I started. I focused on YouTube before I focused on college, and I dropped out of school. I don't have a degree. Granted, I've been in the video game industry for a very long time. I know a lot of people. I've done a lot of networking.
Yep.
I know a lot about it. So worst case scenario, maybe I could get a job at a video game company. I'm not sure.
I think networking is the security blanket.
Yeah, that's the only
that
security
we all
blanket
work
I
on.
have personally, and I'm sure.
That's the thing that I was gonna say. For us doing what we do, we've acquired a certain skill set, right? Of being presenters, of being people that understand the space, even just technically understanding how to set up a stream and good practices to set up a stream that's, solid. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff, and then networking with people that work at, say, Ubisoft or any other game company or things like that. We have a network of people that know us and know our reputation. And that's another thing that I want to go back to as far as networking, because people will remember that you were that person that was really, really pushy, even if you changed. And then it becomes you have to try to repair the damage that you may have done.
Yeah.
So another thing that's important and I want to impress upon you guys is, I'm not just saying be genuine because that's the good thing to do. Be genuine because it's a good business practice to be genuine. And it ensures that maybe you have the longevity of a career because people recognize, hey, this guy wasn't a dick. You know what I mean? And it sounds so simple, but people don't think about that sometimes.
Like, the whole space feels very packed, and like there are a ton of people, and there are, but a lot of us know each other. And if you're a huge dick to one of us,
Yeah.
a lot of people probably know.
Everyone knows.
So,
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows.
Just like keep that in mind.
I almost fell off the stage.
If you go to take a piss in the middle of a
Listen,
panel,
let's circle
people
back
will
to
remember that for a really long time.
That reminds me of a thing that I always tell people too, is just recognize your faults, and I just want to apologize and recognize that I have a really bad bladder, and it's not, I control it a little bit, but sometimes
Can I admit something? I have needed to pee really bad for the last half hour, but I refuse to go because then I'll be Max.
Do it.
So.
You can't make me feel bad about going to the bathroom. It felt so good.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just pick this up for a
do
second.
that.
Yeah,
Do it.
Being tall and small mics
Right
doesn't
there
work
with
well. No. My name is the Big Shakuna. I have a question for you guys. First and foremost, to echo everyone else, once again, thank you for the countless years of entertainment and for everything you do for the community. It really does mean a lot, so thank you very much. My question to you is, I've been a broadcaster kind of on a small side for about the past 3 years, and I found myself in a very, very big, I wouldn't say depression because that doesn't really work out well, but I've just been at a point where I'm just flatlined in terms of my growth. Yeah, just a really, really bad rut. And I think I've kind of just over the past 2 days of this con and speaking to other affiliates and even some smaller partners, it seems to be like that happens like right around this time where you just kind of hit that sweet spot where it's just like, this is as good as you're going to get, and maybe you'll move up, maybe you won't. So I guess my question is, and kind of to offer some advice either anecdotally or otherwise, what would you say is a way to kind of work yourself out of that funk? Is it just taking some time out and kind of focusing on yourself mentally, or is it something completely different?
I think it's trying something new. I think everyone here has been in a rut at some point. For me personally, I was in a rut on YouTube when I first started out. I was getting about 3,000 views a video, which is not enough to sustain myself. But I kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and then lo and behold, DayZ came out. And I was like, man, I really like this game. I'm going to play it a lot. And everyone loved it. And I blew up with DayZ, and then GTA 5 came out. And then I was like, oh, that's all she wrote. It's just I was at the right place at the right time. I was in a rut, but I just stuck with it, tried to change some things up, play some different games, and it worked out.
Yeah, I've absolutely had like entire years where my sub count has not changed at all. And you definitely start to think to yourself, maybe this is me now. This is as good as I'm ever going to be. But it is good to have some like me time where you say to yourself, am I still having fun? And if not, what can I change to have more fun? What can I change to like improve the energy and the quality of my stream for myself, not necessarily like only thinking about chat, right? Because they'll feed off of your energy, and if your energy is really positive and you're having a really good time, then they're going to notice that and they're going to want to see more of that. So I've tried to do that fairly consistently. Like, am I happy? Am I good? All right, cool.
Well, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna say that there is absolutely a high element of luck involved in being a successful streamer. Much like a professional athlete or anything else, you and I could be the same person with the same quality stream, and one of us makes it because luck.
Yeah.
And so take risks. Take those risks. Because that's
recognizing
how you get the big break.
Yeah.
Recognizing that luck is involved and you might not make it is incredibly important. And also making sure that you still, like Brooke said, enjoy what you're doing. Because that's the thing that's going to carry you through the ruts. And you made us feel good by saying thank you. So I'm going to say you're doing a good job already by coming to this panel and asking. Because so many people don't like asking for help and they're proud. Me, myself included, sometimes, you know what I mean? And all of us need help, but we don't ask for it, right? So commending you for getting up to the mic and talking. Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks for the question.
I'm gonna do the same as him.
Yep.
I'm just
Tall
a stall.
people problems.
So I'm gonna say thank you guys as well. I feel like it's a very good thing for especially big streamers at home to hear it. Maybe someone like Lyric who definitely needs to take another day off because he's sometimes, you know, he gets in moods, but he's definitely a great streamer still. My question is a little bit more about next month. There's a vote for net neutrality. Do you guys think that's going to hurt you if it gets voted for and it gets to where net neutrality is going to be a thing that might cost a little bit more to stream a lot more or a little bit more for people to watch it? Do you think that might hurt Twitch or your guys' ability to stream?
Short answer, yes.
Absolutely. God, it would hurt everything.
Terrifying.
Right? I mean, we want to believe that everybody will make the right choice and not let that happen. But it is important for us to actively like talk about it and let people know that it exists and it's something that we don't want because it will affect our entire entertainment industry. Yeah.
And if it doesn't affect us, it's going to affect you guys and the viewers,
Yeah.
and just having access to Twitch in general. I mean, that would ruin Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important too. Like, and this panel is being streamed too, so anybody watching too, like, know that. I think a lot of people feel like it's not going to happen because it hasn't happened, but then when it does happen, it's too late. So if you see those things, those legit avenues of voicing your concern, saying, "Hey, we don't want this," do that.
Yeah.
Be proactive about it, myself included. I need to do that as well. So, but we have about 2 minutes left, so we're going to try to speed round. Thank you for the question.
you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you guys. Have a good night.
Hey guys, thank you for talking. I had a quick question. I'm mainly more of a YouTuber than I'm a Twitch streamer, and the way YouTube's been going lately, that might not be a thing anymore. So on YouTube, there are different things you can do for the SEO, like you matched, like 4 keywords linked from outside websites and stuff like that. On Twitch, other than joining, 3 groups, I'm part of like Salty Streamer, Mario Maker, No Sleep, and that's pretty much it. Is there anything else you can do other than just getting a higher view count to just move your, broadcast up to more the top of the game that you're playing?
Find unique games that, like I said, that goes back to earlier how a lot of people are trying to they build the craft of finding games that no one else has found before. And even if it's something that somebody has found, you think you're going to have fun with it and there's potential for that game to grow, try it out. Take risks.
There's a lot of trickle down on Twitch. Yeah. I would say a lot of streamers become big because of trickle down. So, for example, Lyric plays a brand new game that comes out, and there's 4 people behind him. As soon as Lyric goes offline, if those viewers want to continue to watch that game, it's going to trickle down to the the bottom streamers below him. And that may be you. You never know. I actually read a comment once. One of these streamers, he told me that he was playing Gmod the same night that we were actually during Fucked Up Friday. And we all got off Gmod, and he stayed on, and all of our viewers went to him, and he said he went from like 12 concurrent to like 1,000.
Yeah.
And he said, and he's like, it literally made my channel. Like, I love it. And that was his success. That's how he got it. So it's possible.
Avoid oversaturated things. Don't stream League of Legends in the day.
Don't do it.
You know?
Don't do it ever.
Or in the night, maybe.
Or ever. Yeah, and as we touched on earlier, trying to get early access to these games or play them on release day is always a good opportunity for you as a broadcaster.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
We're going to try. We're already at 7, but we're going to go through it. We're going to try real quick, bite-sized.
Hey guys, so I'm going to make it quick. So algorithms have changed in 2017 and going on beyond. I mainly do YouTube, but I started streaming 3 months ago, and as a small channel growing up, because I am seeing some growth. Is there any quick tips if you guys were to start over on all your careers? You would give to modern day algorithms and growing your channel from scratch? It's just any tips whatsoever.
Dude, if I had to do it again right now, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's so much harder than it used to be. I would just be a barista.
Here's
it's hard.
I would do it again, but I would be an actual character. I think Doc's doing it right. I'm being not yourself.
What would it be?
Yeah, what would your character be?
I don't know, but he can
Mr.
say
Nice
anything.
Guy?
Yeah, yeah.
It could be a retired
Dr.
adult
Respect.
entertainment.
I like it.
I'd be the nicest
like
dude
it.
on Twitch.
All right.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I would say for actual bite-sized answers that I tell everybody, recognize it is oversaturated. Don't get too down on yourself when you have people that maybe aren't watching you. It's like 0 to 1 to 5 viewers. Use that time to get comfortable behind the microphone, being in front of the camera, because nobody's a natural at that, regardless of what they might want you to think. We still improve and figure out, our flaws and stuff like that. So use that time that people aren't, watching necessarily them as much as you'd like to improve on your craft and finding out what your niche is maybe going to be. Watch your VODs back, skip through them, and find out, okay, I could do that a little bit better. And you have to just shift your mindset into self-improvement and using that time to get better at casting, because if you're just down on yourself the entire time and somebody comes through and they do watch you and you're negative, they're not going to come back.
That's true.
Yeah.
So.
One more thing. Gold, I actually started my channel because I actually found, I got into PC gaming 2 years ago, and I found you playing DayZ.
Nice, man.
And I kind of based my channel for that. It grew, and then I started expanding out. I just want to say you're like a great inspiration for me.
Oh, thank you so much.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
All right, one more. We got this.
Hello.
So, hi, my name is Diab. I have a quick question. What I could ask too if there's time, but what's the best way to market yourself and to advertise yourself, either via social media, any other websites other than Twitch and YouTube and stuff like that? What's the best way to market yourself and then make yourself presentable to devs and other people to get those early games or to get access to whatever they can offer you?
I would say be open. Be
Yeah.
open to everything. Don't sit on your Twitter and bash a product. Don't say, man, this shit sucks. Like, I learned that the hard way. Actually, it's Candid Talk, right?
It's Candid Talk, yeah.
About 3 years ago, I made a comment about a phone, an HTC phone that I had when I was like 17. I was like, it's a piece of shit. Well, fast forward 2 years, HTC comes to me and goes, hey, we'd love to work with you. A month in, they go, actually, never mind. We found a tweet. You're gone. So I didn't get to work with them.
Dang.
And I was like, well, lesson learned. So I would just say be open to everything. Don't bash things publicly. Keep it to yourself.
Try to make it obvious the best ways to get a hold of you as well. I've put my email on pretty much everything, like my business email on everything that I can. Just like try to make it easy for them to find you, and just be open to like even games that you've never even heard of, right? Just establish relationships with developers who are interested in you.
Real tip: mobile gaming is going to be the shit, dude.
It already is.
It's going to supersede us all.
Don't tell them that.
What do you mean?
What are you doing? Just because it's Candid Talk doesn't mean we tell them our secrets.
This is secret talk, Sam.
No, hopefully that helped.
Yeah.
And we did it.
Thank you very
That's
much.
the last question. Thank you guys so much for coming. Have a great rest of your TwitchCon.
Thank you, guys.